no forecast of snow or rain. As you look at Amos Zeraway, and it is Ferris who will kick it off for the Orangemen. Ball goes into the end zone as we waited for it to go out of bounds, and let's check in with Adrian Karsten. Adrian?
Well, Ron, on Monday, following the loss to Virginia Tech, the West Virginia senior captors called a meeting, players only. For 15 minutes, Sean Foreman did a lot of the talking about the fact that maybe a loss doesn't disgust his team as much as it's used to or as much as it should. There's talk about effort or lack of it in practice. And finally, he said that when you come in here against a team that we do honestly hate, then we've got to make a difference. In the first 15 minutes, Ron, he said, you're going to find out how significant that 15 minutes was on Monday.
Adrian, I think that's extremely right on, because if West Virginia is going to win this football game tonight, I think they've got to get off the snide and do it quickly. Bulger going to throw on first down. Right over the middle. Got his man. That's Beck, the tight end. Out to the 40-yard line. Good for 20. Here are the lineups offensively. Bulger at quarterback, Zeraway, and the fullback is Anthony Green. At times, Green will be out, though, and we'll see as many as 4 wide receivers. This is the way they line up out there. Beck, the tight end, who just got the pass. Saunders, Foreman, and Corey Ivy. We will see those 3 for sure. And up front, DeGrow and Pukinas, very good offensive linemen, and both are academic All-Americans. Amos Zeraway, first carry of the night, turns the corner, 5, 6, 7 yards. Keith Bullock is there to make the stop for Syracuse, and it gives us an opportunity to check out Syracuse. And the Orangemen start this way: Pilon, Simpkins, Coleman, and Pettijohn up front. The linebackers, and this is a very good group: Greenwood, Gibbs, and Bullock, who just made the tackle. And in the secondary, Nash and Allen will be tested tonight. Quentin Harris and Jason Poles. Poles is the man who made the interception return for a touchdown last year at Syracuse that turned this game around. Zeraway. Nice job defensively by Syracuse. It's Greenwood and Pilon.
The initial stop.
And Ron, you see on that play, right, as soon as the pitch went to Amos Zeraway, the safeties, Quentin Harris and Jason Poles, came down hard, and so Mark Bulger has to find a way to control those safeties. Otherwise, Amos Zeraway is not going to run against the 2-deep secondary of Syracuse.
Third down on the line to make. They need to take it to the 50. That was Ivy in motion, top of the screen. Bulger, beautiful throw, beautiful catch. It's Ivy, the motion man, and just like that, the Mountaineers are inside Syracuse territory. That's good for 26 yards.
Ron, Mark Bulger shows you right there why Don Nalen thinks so highly of his young quarterback, because he was trying to go to the split inside this way. He's going to look to split in. He's not he's covered. He goes back to the backside and hits Corey Ivy. So a good job of a quarterback using his head, keeping his head on a swivel, finding the receiver that's open.
Bulger leads the Big East over 2,000 yards, 16 touchdowns, and you see 7 interceptions this year. Play action, under pressure this time. Gets it off, got a man open. 19-yard line is Foreman, and Sean is going to take it down inside the 10. It is first and goal, Mountaineers.
Ron, you're seeing a quarterback. Now, I know we've only had 4 plays, but you're seeing a quarterback that's using his eyes tonight, and he's finding the open receivers. He comes back again, looking to split inside. Now, he takes his head to Sean Foreman. Sean Foreman works to get away from the coverage. He does a hairpin outside against Jason Poles and makes that catch. This is all made by Mark Bulger and Sean Foreman, who did a nice job adjusting.
Well, you see the difference in that Virginia Tech game and the rest of the season for him. That pass blocked at the line of scrimmage, knocked down by 31, Stan Gibbs.
Stan Gibbs with a nice job because Sean Foreman was open again. Stan Gibbs with his hands up deflected the ball of Mark Bulger. But I am really impressed with Mark Bulger's start here, because he has his head on a swivel, finding open receivers and doing it quickly, Ron.
3 of 4, 68 yards for Bulger. to open the ball game. Second down and goal. 22 touchdowns, 4 field goals inside the 20. Right up the middle at the 2-yard line. Amos Zaraway going to be wrapped up by Keith Bullock.
Well, a lot of weapons on this West Virginia football team, and you can see right away that Syracuse is trying to stop Amos Zaraway, and that's opened the passing game for Mark Bolger. Now, you throw the football, you open up the running game for Amos Zaraway. They said they want to get him the football 25 to 30 times.
Well, we'll see. The ball is now 2.5 yards away. This is the 8th play of the drive as we play in the first 3 minutes and plus of this opening quarter. And a timeout is called by West Virginia. So let's take a break. No score. And the Mountaineers sitting on the lip of the cup. ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by American Plastics Council and by Mitsubishi Motors, the all-new 1999 Galant. Wake up and drive. So the situation, if you just joined us, this is going to be the 9th play of the drive, and West Virginia has taken it right down the field, starting from their own 20-yard line, and they are 2.5 yards away, and it's 3rd down. And Mike, to my way of thinking, they don't need a field goal here. They need to take in for a touchdown.
No, and this is where you look for Sean Foreman a little bit, but you got Amos Zaraway, so you got both the run and the throw here.
It's Corey Ivy in motion, and the fade route comes to this side. Touchdown, Sean Foreman.
No, they knocked it away, Ron, at the last second. Jason Poles made the play on Sean Foreman. They threw the fade to the 6'2" wide receiver, but Jason Poles knocked it away.
And they are going to go for it. Nope, they're not. I beg your pardon.
Here's the replay on Sean Foreman going up for the ball. Jason Poles with his right hand. He just couldn't control it. I don't know if he hit it. I don't think Sean Foreman held on.
Went right on through his arms. It sure did. Jay Taylor to attempt the field goal, and this is going to come from 19 yards away. Low kick, and he got it. So what started off as an absolutely beautiful drive by West Virginia kind of fizzles. They wind up with a field goal, but probably the way they started, you thought it should have been 7. 3-0. We'll be right back. Bulger 3 of 5, 68 yards. And you look at the numbers on the drive, 9 plays, 78 yards, 3:19 off the clock. Taylor with the field goal. And so very close to scoring the touchdown. In fact, I thought he had caught it, looked back down.
When he came down and hit, he just really never had the football. Kind of slipped right through his body. Maybe the right hand of Jason Poles bothered him. But when he hit the ground, it came out.
Oliger to kick it off.
And number
Kyle McIntosh waits at the 17. And Tosh is going to take it out to around the 29-yard line. And let's check with Chris Fowler. Chris?
Well, Rob, with the Buckeyes losing, an opportunity for UCLA to move up into Fiesta Bowl position, but they're getting a battle in Corvallis from the Beavers after a Deshaun Foster run put the Bruins up 10-0. This is Jason Dandridge through a huge hole. Beavers cut it to 10-7 as they approach halftime. We'll keep you posted on this one. Back to Morgantown.
Thanks, Chris. It's interesting. Mike and I were talking just before that game started tonight that might be a tough trip into Corvallis.
It's a tough place to play.
McIntosh and Conrad are the setbacks. McIntosh, 35, 40, he's loose. Crosses midfield and is going to be caught by Charles Fisher down at the 30-yard line. Ball came loose. West Virginia wanted the football, and they won't get it. That's a run of 40 yards on first down.
Kyle McIntosh is going to run a counter off the wishbone set. Back to the left side, and he breaks through, gets nice blocking from Kernan and Bowen and Benowitz, and breaks into the secondary. Charles Fisher tries to strip him of the football.
Ooh, he did.
And he did.
He did strip him of the football.
But he's not going to get it.
No, he's not going to get it. But anyway, it's a 40-yard run from scrimmage.
Visitor sideline. First of the game.
Well, that's early. The warning. So Paul Pasqualoni has to back his team up on that sidelines.
So we didn't even get a chance to give you the starting lineups, and McIntosh runs the counterplay, and they almost break it for the touchdown. Donovan McNabb. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions last week against Pitt. You see his rushing yardage. Quick pass. Kevin Johnson inside the 20, shoved forward by Chris Edmonds, and they're going to say he is out of bounds at the 15-yard line, and that's a gain of 15 more. So here are the lineups. McNabb with McIntosh and Conrad. And the wide receivers, very talented group. Brominski, the tight end, Lowe and Johnson. And up front with the offensive line, it all starts with Scott Kiernan, number 61. He's the veteran, and I guess you could say the bell cow of that group. 1st and 10, Orangemen from the 15-yard line of West Virginia. D. Brown comes in a tailback, number 6. Gets the handoff, little counterplay right up the middle. Flag is down as he's being pushed back after a gain of 1, and it looks as though the umpire tossed that one. We all, the side judge. Offside, West Virginia.
Number 45, Kyle King. And number 55, Jerry Steele.
Defensively for West Virginia, Landolt, Charlton Forbes, and John Thunder Thornton. The linebackers, Stills, Edmonds, Caden, and Barrett Green. And in the secondary, and Charles Fisher and Scooter Davis are the guys that are going to get tested often and early tonight. Porter and Tompkins are the safeties. McIntosh checks back into the lineup at tailback, number 28. They give it to him right up the middle, down to the 5-yard line, and he fights his way very close to the 3.
Well, you made the point. When West Virginia came down here, you can't settle for 3 against this Syracuse offensive football team. They're averaging 44 points a game, and when we talked to Mark Bolger, the quarterback, and Danny Simrel, the offensive coordinator, and Don Nalen, they all said it's going to take 30 to 40 points by our offense to win this football game, so they expect a high-scoring shootout.
Look at the numbers on Syracuse this year, inside the 20. 26 touchdowns and 5 field goals. 31 of 34. Pretty darn good efficiency. Boy, D. Brown gets hit, and he is really attacked hard at the line of scrimmage. 23, Scooter Davis, one of the first men to come up, along with John Thornton on the tackle for West Virginia.
Ron, here's where Syracuse has been efficient down here, as you mentioned, with the numbers. They use their tight ends very well down here inside the 10-yard line. But Donovan McNabb's so active. He can run the option. He can sprint out. Conrad's a good pass receiver. They just got so many weapons inside the 10-yard line.
2nd and goal, and again they go with the wishbone set. McNabb down the line. He'll turn it up and he'll score. Landolt appeared to have him, and he let him go.
The fake. He faked him out when he faked the ball like he was going to pitch it. But that's the problem when you get inside the 5-yard line defending Syracuse. You've got a quarterback that can run the option, and he may be the best running back as he comes down. Watch him move right here. He fakes the ball. And Charles Fisher, I think, also, Landau, both of them
ran
took
right
the
in
fake.
front of him. All he had to do was fall down in front of him. Wow. Nate Trout with the extra point, and he's got it. So 9 minutes and 12 seconds left to play, opening quarter, and Syracuse shows us why they are undefeated in conference play and challenging to make it to the BCS. Now we look at Donovan McNabb on the sidelines, and interestingly enough, McIntosh, Mike, on 2 carries had 47 yards, 40 on the first carry and then 7 on the second. So You know, they only threw one time on that drive. Everything else came off the run. 5 plays, 71 yards as you look at McIntosh. And said yesterday as I was visiting with both he and with Rob Conrad, I said, he is so tiny standing next to you in the backfield. He said, you do not have any idea how strong that little guy is.
And
tremendous leg strength.
4 touchdowns this year, leading rusher on this football team.
Amos Zaraway back deep. And he's going to get a chance to return a short kick from the 11. Brown, I beg your pardon, Anthony Brown is going to take it 30 and now out to the 35-yard line. Well, coming up on Tuesday night, ESPN's Emmy Award-winning series, Outside the Lines. Be sure and join Bob Lee as he takes you inside the Andro debate. Anyone can buy these legal supplements over the counter, but does it help? Can it harm, or is it all just hype? Find out on Tuesday, 7:30 Eastern, right here on ESPN.
Ron, now the pace is set. Mark Bolger has to match Donovan McNabb. They have to have another drive right here.
Well, they had a great-looking drive to open the game. Pitch it back to Zaraway, and he'll take it for a couple, and then he heads back the other direction. And let's check in again with Chris Fowler. Chris?
Brought up in Corvallis after the Beavers got within 3 of UCLA. The Bruins struck back instantly. Cade McNown to Ryan Neufeld, who tight ropes down the sideline. 17-7 is the lead as they approach halftime. Florida State, one of the top 5 teams that won impressively 4 interceptions against Virginia. They can clinch the conference next week, guys.
Chris, interesting. Florida State scored 24 unanswered points in that ballgame. It was close at 21-14, and then zoom, they were going. Zaraway, big opening, has 5, has 10, counted off at 11 yards. Jason Poles comes over to make the tackle as Zaraway breaks it big, and it's Simpkins who also tripped him up.
Run a good hard run by Amos Zaraway up inside. High tailback, he gets a good block up inside by his offensive lineman. Breaks into the secondary. Now the safeties didn't feel as fast on that play. Jason Poles waited for him in the secondary and made that tackle.
Zaraway now 5 carries for 22 yards. As Mike said in the open, he is a marked man after that great freshman year that he had. Fumbles the ball, recovered by Syracuse, Jason Poles. But the flag that is down is because Syracuse jumped offside.
Mark Bolger did a nice job with the cadence, and I think he drew off Syracuse.
Simpkins, I think, is the guy who jumped across.
Mark Bolger with his starting count, he draws 2 Syracuse players. Simpkins is one of them.
Simpkins is the one who did not get back.
Looked like they had a blitz on, and they were very active, and looked like they were going to come on Mark Bolger.
So it's going to be a first down and 5, 7-3 if you have just joined us. Mountaineers took the opening kickoff, drove right down the field, and then it stalled at the 2.5-yard line. And then Syracuse took the ball and just put it in the end zone. McNabb finishing it off with an option play for a touchdown. Bolger off in the flat. This is Zaraway. Nice move. Going to take it to the 41-yard line. And Stan Gibbs, he had him going one way, and then he turned him around and had him going the other.
Ron, on that play, Mark Bolger is trying to affect the 2 safeties. Deep safeties are trying to get them off of Amos Zaraway. You're going to watch the routes here. Here's the 2 safeties. Now, all of a sudden, he wants to control them with a deep route back in here. But he doesn't have that, so he comes off to Amos Zaraway. Good safe throw. After the catch, picks up more yardage till Stan Gibbs makes the tackle.
4 of 6 for 77 yards for him as Zaraway still twisting and moving. Going to take it inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. Bullock and Gibbs combining in the stop.
Well, we talked about Syracuse averaging 44 points a game. West Virginia averaged 32 points a game. So they're a very potent offensive football team with a lot of weapons, starting with Amos Zaraway. But Mark Bolger is the guy that makes it go because he's had the big year. He's 160 at 240, 16 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
Bolger's got a couple of younger sisters who understand our college basketball projects, or could be. Gets this one away, got him open inside the 15. It's Corey Ivy. And let's see, they're going to spot him down at the 10-yard line. First and goal, West Virginia.
Mark Bolger's reading everything right now. He finds Corey Ivy on a corner route against two deep coverage again. Safety sitting back on the hash, and he can't get over to where Ivy's making the catch. Will Allen finally makes the tackle, but again, the right throw from Mark Bolger.
Now they're going to spot him just outside the 10, Mike, so he can pick up the first down. As you see the numbers, 103 yards, 5 of 7. And the ball is at the 11-yard line. Zeraway cuts it back up inside, loses the football, and boy, is he fortunate it came right back up in his arms. Well, that's twice Amos has zigged when the ball zagged.
So far, the one was a penalty, and he gets the other fumble back. But a good penetration by Syracuse. They get away with a hold there, I think.
Solomon Page, yeah.
Solomon Page wrestled his player down.
That was a little embrace.
There's the foot of a Syracuse player, knocked the football out on Amos Zeraway. Foreman again, and Saunders down here, Ron.
Second down and about 12. First man through, and it's Green. And Green is all the way down to the 6-yard line. So they crossed him up by running the fullback, which they don't do real often.
Well, anytime you have a tailback in the eye, and everybody expects the tailback's going to get the football, every now and then the fullback will get a quick little belly play, and it hits so fast that the linebackers do not see the fullback with the football.
Well, Green comes right back out. Corey Ivy comes back in, so they'll go with a 3 wide receiver set. 8th play of the drive coming up. Here comes the blitz. Gets his pass away, and Foreman was interfered with. Going to call it on Phil Nash.
Looked like it was going to be a little hairpin on the outside where you down curl and then head to the sideline, and Phil Nash grabbed a hold of Sean Foreman, wouldn't let him go outside. Stating his case.
Pass interference, defense. By rule, the ball will be placed at the 2-yard line, first and goal.
John Smith, the referee tonight, explaining it very well. Ball is at the 2-yard line.
Well, Sean Foreman, the outside receiver, he's trying to hairpin and go outside. But Phil Nash is going to hold on to him and not let him outside.
So first and goal, 2 yards away. Zeraway down to the 1. And there was a flag down on the far sideline. Move it down to the 1-yard line. Syracuse offside.
Well, you like offense? This is the kind of game it's going to be tonight.
Well, it's going to get a little colder tonight, so it's great. I mean, everybody can watch these two clubs go up and down the field.
Prior to the snap, half the distance will place the ball at the 1-yard line, first and goal.
Third penalty against the Orangemen. 3 for 10 yards, 1 against West Virginia for 5. Under 5 minutes to go in his opening quarter. Eric DeGrow comes out over the football. As you look into the eyes of Jason Poles. Now, he had an interception last year when West Virginia was driving to score. They turned the game around, but not this time. Anthony Green pushes it in the end zone, and the Mountaineers go on top. Page and Dunnigan with the paving blocks on the left side.
Yeah, it's a good offensive line, Ron. Eric DeGrow, the center, Pokinas, the right guard, Holland, the right tackle, and as you said, Dunnigan and Solomon Page on the left side just knocked the Syracuse lineman off the ball for Anthony Green.
Taylor with the extra point attempt. He's got it. So let's take a break. 4:25 left. Opening quarter. And our new score, the Mountaineers of West Virginia 10 and Syracuse 7.
You watch the movement on the left side of the offensive line, and a nice job by the tight end, too, Becht. And Anthony Green just blew it in the end zone. Boy, nice job.
Well, that's two outstanding drives that West Virginia has had. And as we mentioned, the first one stalled, and they probably feel as though they should have had a touchdown on that one as well. And
Ron, Mark Bolger, and I keep saying it, he's doing such a good job of finding the open receiver, reading the safeties of Syracuse, going the opposite of where he needs to go, and he's just been on fire here in the first half.
College basketball coming up on Tuesday night at ESPN2. The Coaches versus Cancer Icon Classic from Madison Square Garden in New York City. Illinois will meet Wake Forest at 6:30 Eastern, followed by Temple against Georgetown. A look at the ESPN USA Today top 10 poll, and it is Duke, followed by Stanford, UConn. In Michigan State, Maryland, Kentucky, Temple, Kansas, Tennessee, and Xavier. And for Syracuse, they're number 20. John Oligard to kick it off for the Mountaineers.
What West Virginia's trying to do on the kickoff, just punch it high and pin them into a certain side of the football field.
McIntosh from the 26 fumbled the ball. And then they're going to down him at the 35-yard line. David Carter, I believe, is the man who got downfield to make the tackle on special teams. You know, what has happened with West Virginia in this game in the early going has to be good for this football team, because they have been a little bit down since losing 2 in a row, and a little backbiting, a little finger pointing, Mike.
Well, when you lose 2 in a row, you start to search a little bit, and sometimes you start pointing fingers and instead of taking the blame on yourself. So this ball club had a lot of talking to do this week, but it looks like it's helped.
McNabb goes under center with a first down at the 35. Option play. McNabb going to be knocked down for a loss, and there's Gary Stills. Now, during this week, there have been a number of pro scouts who stayed over for this ball game, because both of these teams have a lot of kids that are going to play on Sunday. But they talk a lot about number 55, that as far as raw talent and ability, Mike, he may be as good a rush in as there is in college football this year.
And he got hurt against Ohio State, came back against Miami, was rusty, but last week against Virginia Tech, 2.5 sacks, 8 tackles, and caused a fumble. So he's back now. He's back where he feels comfortable from that injury.
And he's from Trenton. He said last year he's from Amityville. He said, I'm from Trenton. I said, Amityville sounds better. McNabb sets, drills it, incomplete. That's a good hit on Grominski. The ball was right there, and it was Stills who knocked him loose for the ball. Let's check in again with Chris Fowler. Chris?
All right, Ron, in the SEC, Mississippi State visiting Kentucky early in the third quarter. That's James Johnson busting it in. Good effort from 2 yards out. Mississippi State now trying to get bowl eligible, up by 9, or 11, I should say.
Oh, that's a little bit of a surprise there. I tell you what's just happened here, Chris. While we were watching your highlight from Mississippi State, Kentucky, Brominski's going to have to come out, because Stills, the young man we were just talking about, not only knocked the football loose from him, he knocks his wind out, and it really has gotten this crowd into the ball game.
And that's why pro scouts are watching him, because he's good at the line of scrimmage and he can run. He's got 4.5 40 speed. See him turn and run right here with the tight end and then make the hit.
And he loves the game of football. He loves to hit. They're down. McNabb from the shotgun, and they had movement. Looked like Bill O'Donnell, a junior out of Bayonne, New Jersey. The right guard came out of his stance too quickly. So the crowd helped.
That ball, false start, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
And Ron, what they were going to do on that play was a 3-man rush, and they were going to drop 5 in coverage in the underneath zones, and then a 3-deep secondary. So they were going to try to clog every hole that Donovan McNabb could try to find to throw the football. Let's see if they come back with the same defense here.
4th penalty against the Orangemen. Third down, the line to make is out at the 45-yard line. West Virginia leads it 10-7. Well, they fake the blitz, they come off of it. McNabb's going to run. Now he's going to throw. And he can't. Kevin Johnson had put his arms out. He got pushed out of bounds. Knowing he was not eligible, he just stopped his attempt to go for the football.
And Amos Saraway's over there pointing on the sideline to him that he went out of bounds. But a good job by Steve Dunlap, the defensive coordinator. Three-man rush and dropping the other 8 players trying to clog up the throwing lanes.
Anthony Brown is going back deep. They have been searching as Duncan sets to punt. West Virginia lost their big play return guy, and they're in search of somebody. They're hoping that this young speedster can be the fella. Standing back at the 30-yard line. Flag is down. It's a returnable kick. Well, we see why. Pretty good speed. He gets what he can, goes out of bounds at the 46.
And he's smart. There was not any reason to continue.
35 yards in the punt and 11 on the return.
It's got to be a holding call.
Personal foul against West Virginia. Not only step off the yards, but give Syracuse a new set of downs.
Well, the umpire made the call in the middle of the field.
Don is saying refuse the penalty. It's not your decision, Donald. We do not get to see that often, but the rule went in 2 years ago that you cannot hit the center. There has to be a full second count, and they made contact with him before. Obviously, they hit him immediately.
Boy, you cannot give Syracuse this opportunity. Now, since that rule has gone in, I believe this is the first time I've seen it called.
That's exactly what I said, Mike, that this is the first time I can remember that we've seen it. McIntosh, tough run out over the 45-yard line. Charlton Forbes is there to make the tackle.
Let's take a look at the center right here. He's getting hit, I believe, by 2 West Virginia players. There comes the flag right here from the umpire.
And it was the guy on the left side, not the fellow in the stand-up position, that hit him before 1 count went by. That's the reason the flag was thrown. McIntosh weaves his way, and that is a tough half yard, I'm going to call it. It'll be third. They need to go to the 48 as Barrett Green, a junior out of West Palm Beach, Florida, wraps him up.
Ron, Syracuse came out that time in an unbalanced line, and in talking to Steve Dunlap, the defensive coordinator, he said that Syracuse does so much on offense that we've cut back this week on what we're going to do on defense because they give you so many looks. We don't want our players to be confused.
Well, it's third down and an opportunity for this crowd to get in it one more time. It's Johnson in motion, bottom of the screen. McNabb rolls the pocket. Tipped and almost intercepted by Sensabaugh. Landolt putting a lot of pressure on Donovan McNabb.
Ron, this play is really a pick play for Syracuse. Everything goes inside. Watch Kevin Johnson, the outside receiver, what he does right here. He's going to pick the linebacker from West Virginia to try to get the tight end across Brominski, but well covered by West Virginia.
Doug Duncan, a senior out of Hacienda Heights, California, waits to kick again, and the 25-second clock has run out. Yeah, he's got the breeze to his back, and this is really not going to be a do-or-die situation.
Well, you talked about the meeting. Perlo Bastine, number 3, he's standing up, pointing to the clock and telling the umpire that it's a penalty on that play. West Virginia is fired up. They've taken this on as a challenge tonight. Coming off those 2 losses. Antonio
Brown again is the deep man for the Mountaineers. And Again, it's a line drive kick. And the 18. Stepped out of bounds just as he crossed the 35-yard line, and then he got hit. 40 yards in the kick and 18 on the return.
Good block by Perlo Bastine, number 3. Is going to make a good block. Number 11 also with a big block, Gary Tompkins.
Well, as I mentioned, West Virginia in search of a return guy, and it looks as though they may have found someone that is very worthy.
We'll run it. It's a nice run back. Well blocked on the punt return.
Zaraway is going to take it for about 3 yards. Jason Poles making the tackle.
Again, Jason Poles is up there too fast, and then that's what the coaching staff that's up here in the press box will see, that Jason Poles is coming up, and they'll try to sneak somebody behind him here before long. Can't allow him to come up and make those tackles at the line of scrimmage and disregard any pass responsibility.
Saunders in motion, quick pass out to him, and they say incomplete. Now and let's check it again with Chris Fowler.
Around the Aggies and the Sooners in the rain and mist at Kyle Field. Brandon Stewart starting in place of the nicked-up Randy McCown. He'll look for and find Chris Cole, who makes a nice catch, escapes the defender. 13-zip Aggies over OU. Back to Morgantown.
Our score 10-7 West Virginia with 50 seconds left to play in the third quarter. To it behind David Saunders.
First mistake, I believe, from Mark Bolger tonight. He just didn't give that play time enough. It was a bunch set where 3 wide receivers are together in a little rub-off for David Saunders, but he threw it too soon.
Kevin Johnson is the deep man as Jay Taylor stands back to punt at the 25. Spiral bounding and is going to be picked up by Johnson at the 13-yard line and a flag. Going to be delay of game.
Did he make the fair catch signal?
Obviously he did, Mike, because the minute he took a step forward, the whistle was blown and the flag was thrown. As you can see, the Mountaineers have a player who is injured.
Jerry Porter.
It is. Sorry.
Jerry Porter. Like he was surprised that he didn't run with the football. Tried to stop. I don't know that that's a fair catch signal. What he's trying to do, I think what he tried to do was get everybody away by using his hands. Kevin Johnson here, he's not fair catching the football. He's trying to tell everybody to get away from the football.
And the official took
penalty.
I think you're right, but the official took it as a fair catch, and that's the reason he blew the whistle and threw the flag immediately. So as the meeting continues, let's see if they overrule the flag. The ball has been placed dead at the 13.
We have delay of game, receiving team. Receiver signals and then runs the ball. 5-yard penalty, 1st and 10.
Well, you'd like your punt returners to make a verbal call, and then I've said this week after week, the call that everybody uses is just the word Peter, to get away from the ball. But he didn't make a fair catch signal. He was using his hands to try to, and yelling at the same time.
You know, And Paul is arguing that he's not wrong, but what the officials, I think, are saying, Mike, is that the people covering the punt don't have time to stop and ask for an interpretation. If they break down and quit and he goes 90 for a touchdown, then you're in a world of hurt. D. Brown stacked up at the 10-yard line. Edmonds is there, and it's very obvious that West Virginia has gotten even more fired up after that touchdown.
But going back to that signal, everybody teaches the hand over the head. So I think Kevin Johnson felt like he was well within the rules to make that signal. He's the go-to receiver for Donovan McNabb since Quentin Spotwood's injury in the Cincinnati game.
And losing Spotwood is huge to Syracuse because he's a touchdown looking for a place to happen at any time. That is the end of the first quarter. So as a change ends of the field, we take a break. West Virginia 10 and Syracuse 7. So at the end of the first quarter, West Virginia leading by 3 as you take a look at the numbers from that first 15 minutes of play. 103 yards in passing, 34 rushing for West Virginia. Off to a very good start, 137 total yards for the quarter.
And Ron, you watch that 16 yards in Syracuse pass offense grow here real soon.
From the 10. String it out, and McNabb will step out of bounds. They're going to say with the dive that he made, he's close to the first down. And let's check in with Adrian.
Ron, a reminder that the seniors admitted to me we'd find out in the first 15 minutes of the game if that 15 minutes Monday in the players-only meeting had made a difference. I think at this point you have to say yes, it certainly has. Foreman has done his part, but don't forget John Thunder Thornton, that big defensive tackle up front. He also said to the guys, it may not be so much about football anymore, but it's when you have your back against the wall, you have one or two things you can do. Either cave in or fight back. The defense is the surprise here. He's carrying his weight as well, Ron.
Well, he's an outstanding young man off the football field as well, Adrian. And another one of those players that all those scouts are looking at here tonight. Number 96, senior out of Philadelphia. Pitch back to D. Brown. Going to be pushed out of bounds by Barrett Green.
Boy, Barrett Green with a good play to stop this first down attempt by Syracuse. Syracuse is going to move the tight end, and that moves the entire defense for West Virginia. But Donovan McNabb, to take advantage of that, has to go a little bit faster on the starting count. But West Virginia lines up. There's 3 guys that line up the tight end. The other 3 guys line up away from the tight end.
Doug Duncan. Antonio Brown is back deep again, and Duncan's kicks have been line drives so far. This one a good coverage kick, very high, and his deepest one goes over Brown's head. He misjudged it, and now a huge AstroTurf bounce. It's going to go all the way down to the 21-yard line. Wow, what a mistake by Antonio Brown.
Well, you talked about the trying to find a return man. That was a mistake, especially on turf, because that ball is going to bounce and bounce.
That is a new career long for Duncan, 65 yards on the kick. You could see the grimace on Don Nayland's face because Brown cost him an extra probably 20 yards, if not more.
A couple first downs.
Yep, on letting it hit the turf. That's the reason Coach Nayland is not wearing his hat right now. Zeraway, the only setback. Gets the handoff back into the boundary. He's going to pick up about 5, maybe 6 yards. Bullock pushes him out of bounds. And Chris Fowler, what do you have for us?
Well, Ron, over on the deuce, Kentucky's deuce is getting loose here. Tim Couch to Kevin Coleman. Touchdown pass, the 2-point try failed. 5-point deficit midway third quarter. Florida this afternoon rolling over Vandy, 45-13.
You know, Chris, with what happened up in the Big Ten today, those Florida schools, it wound up being a pretty good day for them as well as far as the BCS is concerned. I can't wait to see the polls next week and see who moves where. Jaraway. Boy, that is a nice job. I don't know, but it's Poles, I think, who came charging up along with Keith Bullock to submarine that play, take the blocker out, and now it's going to be third down at about 3.5 yards.
Well, you remember last year's Syracuse defense, Bucky Jones and Donovan Darius. They were the two safeties. They'd come roaring up there. You've got to be able to slow them down. Jason Poles has no regard for pass right now when the ball's snapped. As soon as he sees Mark Bolger pitch that football, he's running up and making a tackle on Amos Saraway.
West Virginia just called a timeout. It looks like Eric DeGrow was injured and came off the field at the last moment, the starting center, the senior out of Huron, Ohio. I don't know if that was an equipment problem or what. So it is a timeout, and we'll take it with them. 13:56 left until the half, and it's West Virginia by 3. ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by Priority Mail from the U.S. Postal Service and by 10-10-321. Just dial it and save up to 50%. Well, here in Morgantown, that's a look at the mast from the battleship West Virginia. That armored bell is from the USS West Virginia. Of course, coming up on Wednesday is Veterans Day. 1 of 3 on third down conversions for West Virginia. They have missed their last 2. To keep this one going, they need to take the ball to the 31. Bolger, right over the middle. It's chipped and almost intercepted. That was Foreman, who had it on his fingertips, and Charles Burton, redshirt freshman out of Sugar Land, Texas, made the play, and they'll have to punt it away.
Just couldn't bring it in, Ron. Again, the 3 wide receivers close together. Sean Foreman on the in route, a high throw. He almost had it on the second catch, but Charles Burton knocked it away.
Jay Taylor to kick it away, Kevin Johnson, and I'm sure there'll be no signals with the exception of fair catch, if there are any on this venture down the field. Driving spiral, Johnson from the 33. He'll return it. And Kevin's going to have 7 yards as he'll take it to the 40. And let's check it again with Adrian Karsten. Adrian?
Ron, in preparation for tonight's game yesterday, we sat with Mountaineer defensive coordinator Steve Dunlap. And remember, he asked us, does it sound like I'm whining? Because he was so concerned about his personnel, the number of people he had ready to go in this game, and the way they were going to play. Then we go down the hall and talk to Dan Simmerl, the offensive coordinator. He was like a little kid on Christmas Eve who couldn't wait to wake up in the morning, come down the stairs, and open his gifts because of all the confidence he has in Bulger. But I think who can join the Christmas party here, too, is Dunlap, because his defense has really played well, and they're opening a few presents of their own.
Well, that's for sure.
Not so fast on the Christmas presents yet. You've still got Donovan McNabb here. They're going to open it up and throw the ball here pretty soon.
Conrad, big opening right up the middle. Going to take it to the 50, and it's the first time we've seen him carry it tonight, and he gets 10.
Well, Rob Conrad is an excellent fullback, and if you're going to make the option go, you got to make the fullback go. He's averaging 5.3 yards per carry. Just a little give up inside, a little trap play. Well, they got so many weapons. That's why you may slow them down, but it's difficult to harness them for a long period of time.
Conrad, a senior at North Andover, Massachusetts. McNabb throws it off his back foot and just out of bounds. He was looking for Maurice Jackson, who is a speedster, sophomore from Rochester. McNabb is falling backwards, threw it off his back foot, and still heaved the ball 55 yards in the air.
You know, it's such a strong arm. And Syracuse's firepower around, they do so much. The option game, we've seen that tonight. The inside running game, we've seen that with Conrad. The off-tackle power play, McIntosh. The power sweeps with McIntosh and the quarterback. Play-action passing game, the drop-back passing game. They have a big offensive playbook.
McNabb, 1 of 4 for 16 yards. Stills from the backside, better watching. Pitch going nowhere. Going to be a loss back to the 45-yard line. Charles Fisher came up and made the tackle.
Steve Dunlap has to be happy with Charles Fisher coming off the corner out of Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. Makes that hit. Home with Sean Gilbert. Mike Ditka, a lot of Don Yanessa, a fine high school coach that had a big record there. So Aliquippa, powerhouse in high school football.
Third down. They need to take it to the Mountaineer 40-yard line to keep this drive alive. Donovan McNabb sets in the pocket. Ball still in his hands. And he's going to be sacked way back at the 37-yard line.
Ron, he's so strong. Donovan McNabb, finally Kyle Caden, I think, brought him down. But you can see the drop back pass, gets good protection, decides to pull it back in. Now skates outside looking for somebody to be open, and finally Kyle Caden with the hit.
Kyle, a freshman from Fremont, Ohio. Brown from the 20. Ran into his home man and then goes down at the 25. Tough enough against 11. 11:27 left until halftime. 43 yards in the kick and 5 on the return. This Heisman moment is brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service. Ernie Davis is one of several great Syracuse running backs to wear the number 44, but the only one to ever win the Heisman. Less than 2 years after winning the 61 award, he died tragically from leukemia. Donovan McNabb on the sideline, one of the Heisman candidates for this year. As you look into the face of Amos Zerouet. Play action, Bulger in trouble, gonna be sacked, and it's Duke Pettijohn. Sophomore comes in to make the tackle.
That ball came loose, I believe. Duke Pettijohn came into this ball game with 6 tackles for losses. Going to come off the block and make the hit, and the ball did come loose. Solomon Page, I believe, got on it.
Solomon Page recovers it. It's at the 22-yard line, so it's going to be second down and about 12 and a half. Foreman in motion, and there's movement at the line of scrimmage. Steve Ford is the man they jumped on. Undoubtedly, he was in motion.
Dead ball, false start, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
How times have changed in football. Used to come to the sidelines and rest, and now they ride bicycles.
Well, that player riding the bicycle is not going to play.
Getting ready for
for spring.
Getting ready for his next start. Play action. Bulger still has it. Throws it incomplete at the 36-yard line, and I'm telling you, Bullock was all over Foreman.
Ron, I think he was all over him, and I think he was holding him as they were coming across the field, but got away with it. On the snap of the ball, he was playing right on Sean Foreman, and I believe it as he collisioned him, and he held him a little bit coming across the middle. Very good group of linebackers, Gibbs, Bullock, and Greenwood for the Syracuse football team. Very active.
So we just had lightning all over the place in the first quarter. Offensively, 17 points scored, and now nothing in the second quarter. Just over 10 to play until intermission. Middle screen Foreman. They read it perfectly. Just as soon as Sean caught the football, Jason Poles is there to make the tackle, and boos from this local fan.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, their offense is trying to do what they think's best in that long yardage situation. Jason Poles just with another good play.
Third punt of the night by Taylor. Kevin Johnson back deep. Well, very short. That one goes out of bounds around midfield. They're going to say at the 48-yard line. Well, our lineup next week on ESPN, College Game Day at 11 Eastern, followed by our noon Big Ten games. Undefeated Wisconsin in the Big House to take on Michigan, while Northwestern is at Penn State over on the Deuce. Then in the evening, we'll have one of the key ACC games for you, and it's Georgia-Auburn at 7:30, our ESPN primetime game. And over on the Deuce, a big one from the Big East. Virginia Tech squares off against Syracuse at 8 o'clock.
Ron, one thing I'm shocked at right here, Syracuse has been held to 16 yards passing.
This is Conrad, who fights his way down to the 45-yard line, and I'm a little surprised it's only the second time we've seen him carry the football.
Now, they've got so many weapons that Donovan McNabb has been the center of the offense in the first quarter. But you look at that 16 yards passing, that's got to change. Kevin Johnson's a very, very solid wide receiver. We've already seen Maurice Jackson, a very talented young player, speed merchant, but that's going to change here.
McIntosh. Little stutter steps at the 45, and then the stuttering ends as Caden is there to make the tackle on him, and it's going to be third down. So it was a game of offense in the first quarter, and it's turned into a game of defense for both teams here in the second.
Well, Kyle Caden's a young linebacker. You talked about him being from Fremont, Ohio, St. Joseph's High School. Steve Dunlap, the defensive coordinator, said he's got to learn on the job for us to be a good football team on defense, and he's playing very well tonight.
71 yards on that first drive, and the last 15 plays, and the total of only 8 yards. Third down, McNabb's ball blocked at the line of scrimmage and knocked down, I believe, by Landau. Kevin Landau, senior from Burlington, New Jersey, 6'6", and he made it count then.
Well, another series, and again, the 16 yards aren't added to in the passing game in West Virginia. Steve Dunlap and his coaching staff stymieing Donovan McNabb a little bit.
Jerry Porter, they make a change. Antonio Brown does not go back deep on this kick.
Well, he let that last one hit the turf.
Well, I'll tell you what, you have to have a motorbike to get on this one right here. It's 9 yards deep into the end zone. Best one that Duncan has kicked all night, and they'll take it at the 20. 44 yards in the punt. We'll be right back. Well, the home folks are enjoying what they're seeing. Just over 8 minutes to play until halftime, and it's West Virginia getting the football back at the 20, and they're up by a field goal. Zeraway, nice job of turning that play back inside. That's going to be Pilon who will make the tackle. But on the outside, the play was turned in just immediately to get help from some friends.
Ron, here's what all of a sudden now with the extra wide receiver coming in the game, they're trying to get Syracuse defense to spread out a little bit so that they can find some running room for Amos Zeraway.
Zeraway again as they try to get him outside. Is going to have 5-6 now, about 7 yards in the play. Brian Coleman, a senior out of Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, defensively.
Boy, this game has really settled down. Early in the game, West Virginia throwing the ball all over the park. Now putting it in Amos Zeraway's hands. I'm shocked Syracuse has only thrown 3 passes, 16 yards. The game has all of a sudden turned to a defensive game, and both coaches offensively searching.
Saw the numbers on Zeraway. He had a turf toe his first year against these guys, so that cut down his average. And last year he had a little bit of an injury. Quick out pass, got it complete, and that's Saunders. And he'll have the first down as he legs it out to the 35-yard line.
Ron, this was called by Mark Bolger at the line of scrimmage. And what he looks at is he has two plays. He has a run to the tight inside, but he sees this defender, the Syracuse, off of the receiver, David Saunders. So he's just going to raise up and throw him the quick screen on the outside. Both the other two receivers block the outside hip of the Syracuse defenders. And a pretty good gain for David Saunders.
First down from the 35, play action, going on top, and Foreman came back in and almost got it. Phil Nash wanted an interference called on the play, and there will be none. Let's check in with Chris Fowler.
Guys, are we headed for a second shocker involving a national championship contender? Oregon State's pulled even with the Bruins. Jonathan Smith to James Battle, down to the 1, sets up a touchdown, 17-all midway third quarter. Kentucky scored a Derek Homer run from down 11 to up 1 against Mississippi State.
I'd hate to be a stat guy in Lexington.
May have to retire his hand and his wrist after this year. They got him on the count again. No flag is down. And the play's going to be stopped at the 40-yard line. That time the Orangemen got back on sides.
And Ron, we talked to Amos Zaraway the other night, and he talked about the fact that statistics don't really mean anything to him as long as they win the football game. He said, I'm not having the yards that I had last year and been hurt a little bit, missed a ball game, but feels like if his ball club can win, that's all that matters.
Amos 13 carries, 45 yards. You can see 3.5 yards per try. Bulger gets it away quickly, and it incomplete to Foreman. Had to throw it too quickly because he had a lot of pressure coming from the backside.
And Mark Bolger on the first drive, you see 3 out of 3, but 4 out of 12. A nice adjustment by George DeLeon, the Syracuse defensive coordinator. Terrell Austin, the secondary coach.
Kevin Johnson waiting this Jay Taylor kick. They're coming after it. Off the side of his foot. Very, very short. Going to be touched dead at the 35-yard line. Only 25 yards in the kick. Let's take a break. 10-7 our score with 5:50 left until halftime. We'll show you just how dominant Syracuse has been the last couple of years in this series. It hasn't even been close.
92 points. Donovan McNabb has started all 3 games and 3-0 against West Virginia.
Tonight, Donovan is 1 of 6 for 16 yards.
Yeah, that amazes me.
D. Brown and Conrad, the setbacks for Syracuse. Now they go with the wishbone set. Brown right up the middle will take it across the 40. That's Barrett Green defensively. Adrian Karsten.
An element of the Syracuse offense that is missing here, and we need to keep this in mind, is Quentin Spotwood. And Paul Pasqualoni admitted to us the other day that his absence in a game like this really shows up primarily, Ron and Mike, because you don't have a go-to receiver on either side of the field. Granted, just one completed pass for 16 yards. With Spotwood in there, you never know, but at least he is not in the game, and that has to be an advantage for West Virginia.
Now this running play as they take the umpire out of the play as well. I don't think they're going to have the first down. Green again defensively, and the official appears to be okay. Kevin Johnson will be the first one to tell you he misses Spotwood as much as anybody because Spotwood drew a lot of double coverage, which meant that Johnson got single coverage.
Yeah, and Kevin Johnson, he's going to catch some passes tonight. He's got 37 receptions coming into this game, 6 touchdowns, and all the NFL people are looking at Kevin Johnson. They're going to take him. So he will be an NFL receiver.
0 for 5 on third down conversions. Conrad. Well, he continued to bull his way, and they may have just picked up their first. At first, the line of scrimmage didn't move, and then it did. Landolt is down at the bottom of that pile.
And Ron, you're talking about 0 for 5 tonight on third downs. They've been very good this year. 42 of 85 coming into the game, 49% of the time on third down.
Well, they just got their first. So they'll keep it going as the clock continues to move now, under 4.5 minutes. Again, Conrad and D. Brown, the setbacks. McNabb faked the option. Drills the pass, got incomplete at the 40. That's Darrell Daniel, a senior out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Caden on the tackle, but it's good for 15 yards.
And what makes that so difficult, Ron, it's off the option fake. And the linebackers are frozen because they don't know if it's an option. And once he pulls up the throw, then they've got to try to search out and find receivers. Darrell Daniel just sat in the hole over the center and made the catch.
That's his second completion. The first one on that opening drive for 16 yards. This one for 15. Johnson in motion. And Brown going to be hit behind the line by Charles Fisher. Boy, they saw the run coming and came up very quickly off the corner. And the senior from Aliquippa is there to stop him in his tracks.
Ron, they brought Kevin Johnson in motion. Charles Fisher just followed him in. And then the running play of D. Brown came right to him. Watch Kevin Johnson in motion. Now all of a sudden Charles Fisher is outside and he'll come in and make the play. Just ducking inside the pulling guard.
That's a nice job. He was on his knees, still got up and made the tackle. 2nd and 11. Stills with pressure. Pass. Got incomplete. That's low at the 10, at the 5. Touchdown, Syracuse. West Virginia thought he stepped out of bounds, and he was close as the coaches have come down the line.
I think he was knocked out of bounds. I believe they threw a beanbag. Now, maybe he didn't go out of bounds. But they threw the beanbag. Jeff Lowe working against too deep a roll coverage.
And Mike, what's really interesting, they did throw a beanbag, which means somebody thought he was out of bounds. They just ran back and picked it up.
Yeah, a nice job again by Donovan McNabb. Showed you a strong arm.
Nate Trout with the extra point. So with 2:55 showing on the clock until halftime, Syracuse goes back on top 14-10, and this crowd is not very happy over the lack of a call on the sideline. But obviously the official didn't see him out.
Well, that shows you again how strong and how potent this Syracuse offensive football team is. There's a roll coverage on Jeff Lowe. Makes the catch, and not a very good job by Jerry Porter breaking down and making this tackle. There's the beanbag.
He had been forced out of bounds, and that's the reason they tossed the beanbag. And let's check it again with Chris Fowler. Chris?
Ron, this day just continues to get more surprising. Tie game in Corvallis. They give it off to Jason Dandridge. He darts to the end zone. UCLA now down by 7 midway third quarter.
Cheering the Ducks up in Corvallis, and for good reason.
You don't think the state of Florida is interested in that ball game because that gets them both those teams a little closer.
A lot closer, quite frankly.
Peter Ferris will kick it off for the Orangemen. And it's Antonio Brown back deep again. But it's going to come over to the other side, and this is Amos Zerouet. Amos is loose. Went hurtling over the man at the 50-yard line and is going to be stopped at the 47. That is a 56-yard return by famous Amos.
Good job. Pat Woodcock made the tackle, but a nice job by Amos Zerouet finding and swerving along the line of scrimmage, picking up his blockers, change of direction as he's moving upfield, and there's Woodcock with the tackle.
Amos grew up in New York City, was born on the Ivory Coast in Florida. His mom in Africa, I should say. His mom is still there. His father is a professional photographer. and in fact is here for the ball game tonight, as Swoop is coming replacing Zaraway on this play. Counter Trey. Here's Swoop, first chance to get a look at him, and he'll take it well back to the line of scrimmage as Gibbs is right there.
And Zaraway is an impressive guy, Ron. And his longest run this year, 35 yards. And this West Virginia offensive football team, as defenses try to stop Amos, they're averaging 35 passing attempts, 33 rushing attempts. So, again, he has that feeling. He wants to do what's best for the football team.
Everybody here, though, was talking about the absence of the big play by West Virginia, which has always been something they had in their arsenal. That pass intended for Foreman, well overthrown. 2:01, the clock is stopped. 14-10, Syracuse back on top. The Zaraway will come back into the lineup. Really hard not to like this young guy. He always has a smile. Players were really on him the other day. They said he had not had a haircut since last year against Miami. And they wanted to know why he wouldn't shave his head like the rest of them. And he said, well, he was going to get it trimmed before the ball game tonight. So we'll have to get a look at him if he did get coiffed before the ball game tonight when he takes his headgear off. But he was not going to get it shaved. Bulger back on the other side, and there's the completion to Saunders at the 31-yard line. So the Mountaineers putting up some noise here, gain of 15. We're not to halftime yet, they said.
Well, his primary receiver as he comes away from center is on the left side here, and you'll see him as he starts to look to the left side. Now he's looking for a guy down the seam. Now he came back to David Saunders on the backside, took the hit, made the completion. A good job again, head on a swivel by Mark Bulger.
And here comes the reverse. Zaraway at the 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Amos. Well, as we mentioned, he's never really killed Syracuse. In fact, he has not had good games, but he has had injuries the first 2 times. But tonight he's healthy, Mike.
What set this up, Ron? It was a Statue of Liberty play. The old Statue of Liberty. Mark Bulger went back to pass. The linebackers took their eye off of the ball, started to drop in coverage, and then Amos Zaraway got the football.
Extra point is good, and with 1:32 showing on the clock until halftime, West Virginia comes back on top.
There's the Statue of Liberty, just fakes the pump, gives the ball to Amos Zaraway, picks up some good blocking ahead of him.
Pukinis.
Anthony Green, the fullback, and Brian Pukinis, number 61, for the touchdown. Well, they needed that just before halftime. When you're coming off 2 straight losses and all of a sudden Syracuse takes that lead, you need that score.
Chris Fowler got something new for us.
Well, Ron, folks are going to want to stick around for the Buick halftime report. Lee and Kirk will join me. The shake-up Saturday in college football, the shocker in Columbus. Wild finishes all over the place, and the Beavers continue to lead the Bruins. Scores and highlights coming up.
All righty, shake-up Saturday is a great way to put it. West Virginia trying to shake up the Big East. Syracuse has Virginia Tech next week, which is huge, and they still have Miami to play, but they're not thinking about that right now, or they had better not be, because the locals are not only putting up a war chant, they've got over 200 yards in the first half, and they have 17 points. Not only was it good play, it was well executed.
Well executed, got some separations with the linebackers.
Olger to kick it off for West Virginia. McIntosh and Johnson back deep, and they are not deep. They are looking for that high pooch kick. And they get another one. Taken at the 15-yard line by Johnson. And he's loose up the sideline and pushed out of bounds at the 45-yard line.
Kevin Johnson returned the kickoff.
This week's primetime NFL lineup begins with ESPN Sunday Night Football. Tennessee taking on Tampa Bay at 8:15 Eastern. Then ABC's Monday Night Football. Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers head to Pittsburgh to meet the Steelers at 8 o'clock. ESPN and ABC, exclusive homes of primetime NFL football.
Around a lot of time for Syracuse. They've got 3 timeouts left. An eternity for Donovan McNabb with 1:27.
McNabb rolls the pocket, sets, zings the pass, got it, complete. And Kevin Johnson stepped out of bounds as both of the defensive backs gambled, and Johnson came away with it. He's out at the 18.
And you like to see Kevin Johnson have success. He was recruited here as a quarterback along with Donovan McNabb, runs a corner route. And you're right, Gary Tompkins goes for the interception, but Kevin Johnson never lost concentration on that football. Marvin Harrison worked with him when he switched from quarterback, when he knew he wasn't going to beat out Donovan McNabb, worked on him on his routes, and Kevin Johnson's turned into a pretty good receiver.
Big opening. McIntosh bounces it to the outside at the 10. He's at the 5. And Charles Fisher saved a touchdown. Good heavens, there's still 1 minute and 11 seconds left.
It was an eternity, but I didn't think they'd score this fast. Syracuse, just with the speed again by Kyle McIntosh, shows you some quicks getting outside of Gary Tompkins. Charles Fisher knocked him out of bounds, but Syracuse in business.
First and goal. The ball is 2.5 yards away. D. Brown, Sedano, and Conrad sending that wishbone. Play action. McNabb's going to hold on, and he'll be sacked. Ryan Brady, a junior out of Huntington, New York, got him, number 43.
Ron, the primary receiver on that play was going to be Rob Conrad, but also watch the tight end, what he does here, Brominski. He'll block, and now he releases the other side, but he got knocked a little bit. He got banged a little bit. He came open late, but Donovan McNabb was too far outside. The tight end was the second choice. Couldn't get back to him. Wide open.
Yeah, Donovan had more than he could say grace over there on the sideline. He couldn't look back at Brominski. He was running for his life. 1:03 until halftime. Got him over the middle. Touchdown, Kevin Johnson.
Kevin Johnson has made his presence known here in the second quarter.
We still got 59 seconds left.
Donovan McNabb's looking for Kevin Johnson on a quick slant all the way, makes the catch. Kyle Caden with the hit, but the touchdown. We had offense early and offense late.
Trout with the extra point, splits them. And again, Syracuse goes back on top, this time 21-17. We'll take a break. 59 seconds until intermission.
I just sat in front of my locker room, all my equipment on for like 2 hours. My coach came in there, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and so I cried for a long time. He was just sitting there, just trying to make me feel better. You know, he was just telling me things, just keep my head up, you know, look for bigger and better things, you know, in the future. And we just stayed in the locker room, thinking about all of, you know, the things we went through since I've been in high school, that's gonna stick me for the rest of my life.
Look into the faces of West Virginia University. You'll see minds that are open to a world of big ideas. Minds that dream dreams of a future to come. And if you look even closer, you might catch a glimpse of what your future could be. What are you expecting? West Virginia University. Success expected.
About 20 degrees, that is cold.
Well, that's right, it is cold, but Kevin is warm right now, and so is the passing game, which was a little lethargic getting started tonight, but they really put it to great use. And in fact, the catch that he made with the defensive back gambling, Mike, it's one of those things where you can't tell a kid not to be aggressive, but at that stage of the football game, you're a lot better off not to gamble, to make sure that, you know, at least he doesn't take it for a score, which he almost did.
Yeah, feast or famine, you're right.
Going to be picked up at the 25-yard line and a return of about 4 yards, as they wanted to make sure that Zaraway did not duplicate what he did just a moment ago. McIntyre picked it up and put it safely away. So now West Virginia with 54 seconds to work with, and they're trailing again by 4. So Bulger comes on. Don Nalen said it, so did his coaches. They thought they were going to have to score 40 points to win this football game tonight. And I'll tell you what, if the second half is like the first half, I think they're right. Zaraway, boy, is a marked man. Can't go outside to the left, and he is still going to pick up yards. That's amazing. The little guy will take it to the 31-yard line. Holds defensively.
Well, his role model, his idol is Barry Sanders, and he runs the same way. Now, he said in an interview with Adrian Karsten the other day, he says, I can't do the things that Barry Sanders does, but I try to mimic him a little bit in my running style.
Well, a timeout has been called by Syracuse. 29 seconds left on the clock. Amos has got, I don't know how many tapes now of Sanders, but he keeps them at his apartment, and he watches them. And one of the things that he really prides himself on, he's not a real tall guy. Obviously, they say 5'8". I'm not sure about that, but he is physically, he is in awfully good shape.
Yeah, he's strong, Ron. When you look at his chest, I mean, when we were out eating with him the other day, and Adrian Karsten out-ate them all, but all 7 ball players. But
whole team.
Amos Zaraway is strong in the upper body, and there is talk that he may come out after his junior year, but he hasn't decided. Yeah, I think he does. He needs to stay healthy 1 year and put together some numbers here at West Virginia. But he really is a fine running back, but I do believe he's best to stay here.
Adrian, defend yourself.
Well, it was a special treat for all of us as I enjoyed my small salad and crackers down there at the end with Gottfried. Amos sat right next to you, Ron, as we accepted an invitation from the senior captains. It wasn't an exclusive invitation. Our friends at ESPN2 and some of the other networks have done this, but fun to sit with Amos and the rest of the guys and talk to them off the football field. A special treat.
It was. It's a nice idea that the captains started that a few years ago. Saunders, the intended receiver on that play.
And they were impressive. It gives you a chance to sit and talk about other things other than football. But I told Don Nalen, I know you echoed it, and Adrian Karsten also, that he can be proud of the 7 players that we talked to, because they spoke very highly of the program. They're very highly of the coaches, very high of the school. I mean, they were just very positive, even after coming off 2 losses. They really believe in Don Nalen. They fight hard for him, and they're going to play hard for him all year.
And they ate well.
And they ate well, and it was a big bill.
Faked it to Zaraway. And it's Antonio Brown who goes out of bounds. We still have 18 seconds left, and that's good for 13.
Smart play by Antonio Brown to get out of bounds. They still have 18 seconds, and they've got 1 timeout left.
Well, should they get into a situation of getting it close enough to go for the field goal, Taylor's longest is 52. They still got a distance to pick up here. Bulger going to go on top. And Syracuse in the prevent defense, it's picked off, but it was intercepted out of bounds.
Ian McIntosh, I believe, number 2. Playing very deep, not letting anything get behind him. The throw by Bulger, and the play by Ian McIntosh against Pat Green, the junior wide receiver. Now you just got to hang it up.
12 seconds until halftime. Bulger deep over the middle, threw it behind him. Antonio Brown is who he wanted. Brown had gotten himself open, but Bulger a little off the mark there.
Good pressure by Dwight Freeney, the freshman defensive lineman for Syracuse, number 54. He made sure Mark Bulger didn't have a lot of time to throw that football.
So 3rd down and 8 seconds. That's what West Virginia has. They trail by 4, 21-17. Bulger got him open and he got out of bounds. Well, now they're going to say that he is out at the 31, so let's move back 7 yards. That would be a 41-yard. Well, my math is not good here. Let's see where they're going to put it down. In the vicinity of 47 yards. And as I mentioned to you, 52 his longest. 47 this year. It's going to be an attempt of 48 yards. Jay Taylor. High pass, they get it down, and he has the distance, and he is good. So Jay Taylor has got him standing and cheering here in Morgantown, West Virginia, as we are at halftime, and our score is Syracuse 21 and West Virginia. So Kyle McIntosh is back deep while West Virginia waits for one more person on the kickoff team to come out on the field. So we had 248 total yards by West Virginia in the first half, 199 for Syracuse. Orangemen lead at 21-20, and we're underway in the second half. This is Kyle McIntosh. Well, you can hear the strike from all the way up here. And Adrian, let's go to you.
Well, Ron, Coach Pasqualoni tells me that in reviewing their performance offensively in the first half, they move the ball when they move it faster. They've got to pick up the pace here in the second half. The balance, passes to runs, he's not too concerned about. He says, yes, our playbook is pretty thick and we're going to cut it down. Defensively for West Virginia, very important, most important quarter for them right now, because in all 3 losses, they have been shut out. The Mountaineers have in the 3rd quarter, so the defense figures they need to score here in the 3rd quarter if they want to win this game.
Adrian, I think this is a big drive. You always like to play the first 5 minutes of the 3rd quarter. Both coaches tell their teams that will decide this football game.
Here's McIntosh. He opened the game with a 40-yard run from scrimmage, and this time they trip him up. And also remembering that it was West Virginia who won it at halftime with a big surge as far as momentum with that 48-yard field goal. And that always gives you a shot just before intermission. McIntosh again tries to bounce it outside, and Gary Stills is right there.
Gary Stills, we said he got hurt against Ohio State, missed 4 games, and the coaches now say he's starting to round back in the shape that he started the football season with.
Interesting that he's only played, I mean, it just happens this way, the games he's played in, I mean, the games they lost, he was not with the team in the games they won. 3rd down, and they need to take it to the 32. Syracuse 1 of 6 on the night. Blitz is on, got it complete to Johnson. Kevin Johnson with the first down at the 35, and it's Charlie Fisher defensively.
Ron, just a nice job by Kevin Johnson. Again, a feel of where to curl up at. Motions, and then comes inside and just sits down to make that pass reception. Charlie Fisher makes the tackle.
67 yards and a touchdown on the night for Johnson. Pressure coming on Forbes. Drills it complete at the 32 to Kevin Johnson again.
Well, it's becoming the Donovan McNabb, Kevin Johnson show, and we talked about this. Adrian Karsten talked about it just before half. That Quentin Spotwood's not here. Who do you depend on? You have a favorite receiver. It's got to be Kevin Johnson. He comes all the way across the football field. Good coverage on him by David Lightcap, but again, a good throw by Donovan McNabb, a good catch by Kevin Johnson. That's why I say, Ron, he will play pro football. He's an outstanding receiver and a young receiver. He's got a lot to learn at that position.
Sedano comes in, replacing Conrad, but it's McIntosh, and he finds an opening down to the 22. Chris Fowler, what do you have for us?
Well, Ron, up in rainy Corvallis, this just go back and forth. Bruins and Beavers tied at 24. Cade McNown to his favorite target, Danny Farmer. Their second hookup for a touchdown tonight. Bruins just recovered a fumble, lead by 7 in the fourth quarter.
Well, a 7-point lead, and it looked as though that he was limping off the field there.
Cade McNown, a pretty good quarterback, special.
First down, the ball just outside the 20-yard line of West Virginia. Conrad weaves his way, going to go for 3 tough yards. It's Kyle Caden, the freshman out of Fremont, Ohio, there to make the stop.
Rob Conrad, his freshman year, Ron, he got that famous number 44 jersey. Paul Pasqualoni sat down, explained the history of the jersey to Rob Conrad and that he had to be a role model. Talked to Paul Pasqualoni when we did the North Carolina State game. He said recruits have asked for that number. They're currently recruiting players, and we shall see a new 44 at Syracuse.
4 carries for 21 yards tonight. Here comes the blitz. Donovan McNabb is hit, and how he held on to the football, I don't know. 3 times they've gotten to him. This time it was Tompkins.
Gary Tompkins came off the corner, and Steve Dunlap, when we talked to him, he talked about not blitzing Donovan McNabb as much, but once you cross the 30-yard line, you've got to come after Donovan McNabb. Number 11, Gary Tompkins comes from the corner, doesn't get picked up, makes the tackle on Donovan McNabb. But you don't like to blitz a guy who is elusive like Donovan McNabb and also runs the option.
Third down. They need to take it to the 11 of West Virginia. McNabb for the end zone, got him open. Touchdown, Kevin Johnson.
They had to bust the coverage here because I watched Kevin Johnson come off the line of scrimmage. No one picked him up. He ran wide open all the way down the football field. He's going to come in motion right here. He's going to work up the football field. No one picks him up. 3 deep coverage. Breaks. Wide open, a busted coverage.
Thrown right on rhythm by McNabb.
Plus, you're in 3 deep coverage. The safety should have been sitting back there.
Trout with the extra point. It's good, and let's take a break. 11:14 to play, third quarter, and Syracuse, just the way they opened the game, on the scoreboard again. ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by BASF. We don't make a lot of the products you buy, we make a lot of the products you buy better. And by Chrysler, engineered to be great cars. 28-20, our score now with just over 11 minutes to play, and it's turned into the Kevin Johnson show. When you look at those numbers, 8 for 78 on the drive, 3 minutes and 46 seconds, and a 22-yard reception.
Well, Marvin Harrison taught him how to run patterns and calls him every Monday, so they're going to have a joyful call this Monday.
Trout kicks it off, make it at the 6-yard line. Zeroay. He's loose again and takes it out to the 37. Like Greenwood on the tackle.
And Ron, just another thought on Bob Griffin, the wide receiver coach, Kevin Rogers, the offensive coordinator, the adjustments that they have made. That was an excellent drive in the first 5 minutes of this third quarter.
You know, just like when they took the ball to open the ball game for the first time tonight after West Virginia had gone down and kicked the field goal. Syracuse opened with a touchdown in the first quarter, and they have duplicated that in the third, and in very impressive fashion. Pitch to Zeroay. Hit by Jason Poles, and according to our numbers for the tackles that we had for him in the first half, that is 8 solo tackles that Poles has. And I'm having to say, in what I have seen so far, Poles is as good a safety as we've had on primetime this year.
Well, he grew up wanting to be a quarterback at the University of Alabama, and he has really settled into this position. He didn't want anybody to say the reason Syracuse lost this year was because of the loss to Bucky Jones and Donovan Darius, so he's taking it upon himself.
Big opening, Zeraway ran by Greenwood, and then Greenwood, along with Bullock, reach up and make the tackle. Chris Fowler, what do you have for us?
Well, Oklahoma fiercely defended John Blake this week, but you don't help save a coach's job by getting shut out. Brandon Stewart rolls in for the touchdown run. The Aggies are rolling over Oklahoma 22-0. Trun Candidate, a couple of touchdown runs. Arizona up on Washington State in the first quarter. Guys?
Well, Chris, you're right. The folks up in the state of Oklahoma are getting more than frustrated. They want to see something happen in Norman, and it's not. Zeraway, nice move. He gave somebody just a dead hip at the 50-yard line and continued for 12 more yards after that. Bullock saved a touchdown.
And Ron, that's his 18th carry, and when you go back to the first half, he had an excellent first half. He returned a kickoff up the football field and gave a couple moves and picked up good yardage and put West Virginia in a good field position. And then the Statue of Liberty came back and scored a touchdown with some good blocking by Eric DeGrow and Brian Pucanis.
Amos again. He's going to take this one for about 3 yards. Greenwood and Duke Pettijohn combining in the stop.
Just seems like he gets stronger as a running back. It's a big drive for West Virginia.
Well,
they've got to answer Syracuse.
First time that he really has been close to 100% against Syracuse, and he's showing the Orangemen that he can be quite a force, and he's done it in a lot of different ways, as you could tell by those numbers. Tipped and intercepted. That's Nash. Boy, and it's a football that should have been caught by Foreman, and Foreman has had a problem juggling the football tonight.
Yeah.
He should have had a touchdown on that opening drive.
Mark Bolger, and you're right, Mark Bolger drilled that football. Sean Foreman just couldn't bring it in, and then the ball started popping over his head a little bit. Phil Nash, the senior corner for Syracuse, was right in the right spot at the right time. There's the throw. It's right where you want the curl thrown. You want it thrown low, right around the chest, and the ball just deflected out of his hands. And Phil Nash with a good job of concentrating to intercept that football.
McNabb on the option, pitches it back to McIntosh, and he gets knocked down very hard by Scooter Davis. And as you can see, one of the assistants on the sideline went down hard as well.
Well, there's not a bigger series in this football game than right here for West Virginia's defense. Now what happens over there, you get trapped. The players are all trying to get up to see what's going on, and when you start to move out of the way, you can't go anywhere. This is a big series for West Virginia's defense.
Look at Stills putting on pressure, goes deep, and it's underthrown. And he got put down by Stills after the ball was released. Fisher on the coverage, but 55 was putting on the burners.
Yeah, Gary Stills, 6'2", 235, runs a 4.5 40, and they say is an excellent first step. He just beats the block of Mark Banowitz to get to Donovan McNabb. I thought Darrell Daniel was open on that play on a curl route, and Donovan chose to try to get the ball to Kevin Johnson.
Third down. If they want to keep this one going, they got to take it out to the 43. Syracuse leads at 28-20. Pressure again, and he he's going down. This time it's Landau. 4 times they have gotten to Donovan McNabb.
And Steve Dunlap has to feel good about this series because you get the interception, your defense comes right in. 3 plays later, they throw Donovan McNabb for a loss, and now the field position should be good for West Virginia's offense. Kevin Landau with a good tackle on Donovan McNabb.
Grabbed his shirt and just yanked him down. Duncan waits for the snap at the 5. And not a good kick. Antonio Brown has it go off his hands and out of bounds. So no return, and the ball is dead at the 39-yard line. So we'll take a break. 7:50 left in the third quarter. 43-yard kick. It's senior wide receiver Sean Foreman receiving attention on the sideline. Has an injury to, it would appear, his elbow. Pads are off, and whether this means that he's done for the night, not sure. And here's where he got hit on that pass that was intercepted just a moment ago. And you can see at that time that he's favoring the right arm. Reverse to Green and tackled at the 42. You know, the last 3 drives for West Virginia have started at the Syracuse 47, their own 37, and now their own 39. And I guess the point that I'm making is the defense just made a big stop there, but the offense has got to take advantage when you get that kind of field position.
They really do. And now on that play just didn't time up right, but that was a good call by Dan Simmerl, and it was open. It just didn't time up the blockers and Pat Green.
Zaraway, big opener, 5, 10, 15, and he'll have the first down just inside the 45-yard line. Chris Fowler, let's check with you again.
Ron, the excitement keeps coming on Shake Up Saturday. There's now Bedlam in Beaverland. Jonathan Smith. Knife to go over the middle is Greg Ainsworth. He'll be pulled down at the 3-yard line. You can see UCLA trying to protect a touchdown lead deep in the 4th quarter. They can't do it. The 3rd touchdown run by Jason Dandridge. Inside of 3 minutes, we're dead even.
Chris, from those highlights right there, Oregon State looks like they're an impressive-looking football team. Some great-looking athletes.
UCLA's defense a little suspect.
Pressure. Bulger runs out of the pocket. Get down quickly. At the 30-yard line, it was Poles who was coming after him pell-mell.
Well, when I was watching tape with Mark Bolger the other day and Dan Simro, he told him, he said, at times, use your Major Harris legs, and referring to Major Harris, the quarterback here for West Virginia that did a good job for them. Mark Bolger, of course, not as fast as Major Harris. Dan Simro making the calls. That's Dave McMichael, one of the best offensive line coaches around, sitting next to him. He's looking at fronts. He's looking at the way Syracuse lines up and trying to help Dan Simro.
So here's the situation. It's first down at the 30-yard line. We've just gone under 6.5 minutes to play, 3rd quarter.
Checking off right here, Ron.
Straight ahead with the run. And Zaraway trying to break out of the pack. That's Freeney who held on to him.
What Mark Bolger sees right here is he's looking for a couple different things, whether to run Amos Zaraway outside, whether to come out over here, or whether to throw the ball over here, but he decides on a trap up inside. There's the trap. And Amos Zaraway hits for a couple yards, but it looked like he missed the trap hole also.
The tight end, and he takes it to the 4. 1st and goal, West Virginia. Good for 23. So.
Yeah, no, that's Anthony Beck is a pretty good sized tight end. It's 6'6", 235. And that's the smash route. That's what the outside receiver is going to run. Just a 5-yard stop. And Anthony Beck is going to take. Here's going to stop. Anthony Beck's going to hit the corner right behind the corner. And even though 3 Syracuse players were around the tight end, Mark Bolger put it right in there.
Yeah, he did. Good job of holding on as well. Fullback this time. Green will take it maybe for a gain of 1. Coleman gets off the bottom. 52 Greenwood as well. Also, Bullock is around.
Excuse me, I was going to say now Dan Simrose worried Ron about what play is going to get them in the end zone, but he has to be ready for a 2-point play immediately after they score the touchdown. So that's why all the coaches are talking on that headset right now, trying to help him and preparing for the 2-point play that they practiced this week.
2nd and goal. Pitch to Zeraway, brings it back into the middle. He's at the 2, at the 1, touchdown Amos. Don Nalen quickly on the field to tell the offense, don't come to the sideline. It's a 2-point play. The only person that will leave is Anthony Green, the fullback.
Amos Zeraway showed you exactly what you were talking about the other day. The strength in his upper body, because he took a couple shots, but he's so strong in his chest and his arms that he was able to force that ball in the end zone. Now, here's where West Virginia, they've got a pre-planned play to a 2-point play. You usually go into the ball game with 3 2-point plays, and your concern is whether Syracuse is going to play zone or man-to-man in the secondary.
3 wide receivers, Zeraway the lone setback. Fade route, he got it. Pat Green with the 2-point conversion. We are tied.
The fade to Pat Green, who is 6'2", working against Phil Nash. Mark Bolger puts ear under that football and throws it over the outside shoulder, and a nice catch.
You can see Nash looked up too late. 28-28. 4:35 to play 3rd quarter. Pat Green on the sideline, very close on the 2-point conversion, and it's 28-28 with just over 4 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter.
Pat Green, number 21, is going to catch this fade, and it's so close. One official makes the call that he's in, and another official right down here is going to make the call that he is out of bounds. But there's the call out of bounds, but the official closest made the call that he was in for the touchdown.
Looked as though he had possession.
2-point play.
As that right foot came down. Kevin Johnson. Ooh, good whack as he crosses the 25. Well, the latest edition of ESPN Magazine is on the newsstands now. Look for John Elway on the cover. Plus, check out the college football section featuring Georgia's Champ Bailey, K-State's quarterback Michael Bishop, and a whole lot more. It's all in the current ESPN Magazine. Ron Franklin, Mike Gottfried, and Adrian Karsten coming to you from a chilly Morgantown, West Virginia. Chilly outside, very warm down on the field. 56 points have been scored, and we're tied right now. D. Brown runs into a hornet's nest, led by Charlton Forbes.
Ron, you talked about the magazine and John Elway being on the cover. This summer, what Paul Pasqualoni and Kevin Rogers did was they got a highlight tape of John Elway when he was in high school and college, and Jim Fosso gave it to him from the Giants. But Donovan McNabb looked at his 3-step drop, his 5-step drop, how he held the ball, his footwork. He just studied John Elway all summer, and he's become a better quarterback for the effort that he gave in the summertime.
Quick out pass, Kevin Johnson. That's right out of the playbook of West Virginia, right out of the playbook of Marshall, isn't it?
Well, everybody steals everything, and West Virginia stole it off of Marshall. Randy Moss came in here, and Marshall and Bob Pruitt ran it against West Virginia. Danny Summerall and Don Dalen said, hey, that's a good play. We'll put it in. Syracuse obviously has watched West Virginia, and they put it in. You can believe Marshall stole it from somebody, too. That's the way coaches will look and find something they like and put it in the book.
Well, it is third down. And to keep this one going, the line to make is the 36. And the crowd is really getting into this one. Blitz right up the middle. Forbes going to his left, and he throws it complete. I mean, Maurice Jackson got just a zinger, frozen right to it.
Well, Maurice Jackson's a sprint high school champ from New York State, so he has great speed, but really what makes this play is the flick of the wrist of Donovan McNabb. You can see the speed of Maurice Jackson. Steve Dunlap said when you watch Maurice Jackson on film, he's the real deal.
He's going to go off the field for a play. Most importantly for Syracuse, they move the chains. Kevin Johnson in motion. Sings it to him at the 40-yard line and forced out of bounds by Sensabaugh after picking up a couple of more yards, and it's over midfield.
And we talked about Donovan McNabb on the open run, and you said about you know, maybe doesn't get as much respect as he should as a quarterback, but I think the respect should come for him as a passer. Coming into this game is 108, 159, 15 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. He's an accurate quarterback. He can throw the ball, and he's got good velocity on the football.
The option, fakes the pitch, going to hold on to it. 35 and finally pushed out of bounds around the 31. And Adrian, let's go to you.
Ron, remember 10 years ago, Syracuse had another quarterback who was being talked about the Heisman Trophy, ran plays, passed plays, just like we saw there, Donnie McPherson. And Paul Pasqualoni tells us if you look into the eyes of McNabb, you can see the same kind of thing that you saw from McPherson. Not the same kind of quarterbacks, not identical, but the same leadership qualities. They make things happen.
Well, this young man right here, of course, he gave up basketball a couple of years ago, but really a complete athlete. Gets this one away to Johnson. And he's going to be tackled at around the 25. Interesting in talking with one of the scouts about Donovan McNabb here this week. And he said he really thought he was smart to have waited a year because, as he put it, they thought last year that he probably would have been no higher than a third-round pick. That after staying this year with the maturity and everything that has happened, that he will be a first-round pick.
Well, as I told you, I think he's going to be a first-rounder, but if you talk to all those scouts, there's 65 first-round draft choices right now, but Donovan McNabb is a #1 draft choice. I agree with you.
A first round.
Yeah, without a doubt.
This is Conrad, big opening, and he goes inside the 20. Let's go back to Chris Fowler. Chris?
Tie game in Corvallis. Bruins fail on 3rd and 1, so on comes the struggling Chris Saylor. 4 of 13 on the year, 1 of 3 tonight, but he knocks it through. Minute 16 to play, Bruins up by 3.
Wow.
Well, there's a team that scores a lot of points, too.
Yeah. 34-31. You surprised it was raining in Corvallis?
No.
Daniel in motion, but he goes straight ahead with a running play, and it's D. Brown who goes inside the 15, and that is enough for a Syracuse first down, except now we see a marker at the 22.
It's got to be offside.
Defense, it looks like, Mike.
Yeah, when you get one on that side and the ball's ran away, it's offside. Ron, we talk about Donovan McNabb, and he has had an outstanding ball game, an outstanding career. I can remember being up at Syracuse after about the 3rd week of the season, and they were talking about that you only got so many more opportunities to see him play in a Syracuse uniform. He has really been a treat for the people up in Syracuse to watch play. He just gets better and better. And when you look at this night, remember the name of Kevin Johnson, because he has been the big playmaker along with Donovan McNabb.
Oh, Conrad.
The ball carrier.
Zoe got the feet crossed up there, and Rob went down. So they're going to spot it at the 15. It's a loss of about 1.5 yards. And that is the end of the third quarter. So let's take a timeout with our score. West Virginia 28 and Syracuse 28. That's a tough game. It'll do that to you. Tied at 28 as we start this fourth quarter. And the ball is sitting at the 15-yard line of West Virginia. It is second down, and we'll call it a long 11. McIntosh and Conrad behind McNabb. Screen, McIntosh. That is a great job defensively. They get nothing. The tackle made at the line of scrimmage by Forbes. And Adrian Karsten, you have an update on the wide receiver for West Virginia.
The explanation on Sean Foreman, with about 2 minutes to go in the first quarter run, he suffered a deep bruise to his right forearm. That's why he's had so much trouble hanging on to the ball. I didn't know it. The coaches and trainers didn't know it because he didn't tell anybody, which says a lot about how tough this young man is. He desperately wants to get back into the game, Ron, but the coaches are concerned because he's so closely covered. If he can't catch that ball and bobbles it, Syracuse will pick it right away from him.
Well, that's true. 11th play of the drive. Third down. McNabb, pressure on him, and gets away. Throws to the end zone. Incomplete. Landolt was one of those who was in hot pursuit.
And Ron, if he could have brought him down, he didn't. He could have made it a tougher field goal opportunity. But Donovan McNabb weighs 220 pounds. He bench presses 350 pounds. So he's a strong quarterback. Tough to bring down.
Well, let's see. This field goal attempt. Nate Trout going to put it down 32 yards away. Trying to break the tie. Tells the story. You know what happens when you're standing on the tee box with the driver and that quick short backswing? Shank.
He knew it as soon as he kicked it.
The minute he hit it, I mean, he just shanked that one horrible.
Missed opportunity for Syracuse. High snap. Kevin Johnson gets it down. He knew right away.
Scooter Davis was coming in, but he didn't get a piece of it. Trout just knows that did not hit it well. Rushed it just a tad. So we're still tied. Give it to the fullback, and he still fights his way 3 yards and maybe now 4 around the 24-yard line. Bullock is holding on to him. And let's check in with Chris Fowler. Got a final?
Not yet, Ron. Here's a field goal attempt by Jose Cortez. He was 1 of 3 tonight. This for the tie, knocked it through 34 all in the final 30 seconds, but seconds ago, UCLA just scored to take the lead. We'll keep you posted.
Oh, okay. So you said they scored a field goal or scored a touchdown? I'm sure we'll get to see it here just momentarily. Pitch back to Zerouet. Crosses the 30 to the 33. That's going to be a gain of 12. And Gibbs puts the stop on him. I mean, it has turned into the Amos show for West Virginia.
Ron, a nice job again by Mark Bolger running this option play. And what he's looking for is the tackle, number 79, to be able to block the linebacker. And he gets off on the linebacker. Amos Zerouet, then there's no one outside. Finally, the tackle by Stan Gibbs.
Zerouet cuts it back, 35 at the 40, and Zerouet is down, and that is a gain of like 10 yards, so 12 yards, and then 10. Now let's go back to Chris. All precincts reporting.
We just show you the tying field goal. The first play following a kickoff out of bounds, Cade McNabb back. Looking for the little used Brad Melsby. How do you get wide open like that in a tie game in the final 30 seconds? Somehow the Bruins keep finding a way.
Looked like the first guy out to practice. That's amazing. Going to be some horse people in Corvallis tomorrow. First down. Zeroué again has an opening. Takes it across midfield, and he's down at the 48 by Ian McIntosh of Syracuse.
Ron, here's what this set will do to you. When you go to one back and Amos Zeroué is the one back, and you get two wide receivers and a tight end, and you reduce the front, and all of a sudden now they're playing with 6 people in the box, and Amos Zeroué hits that hole for a good gain.
He now has 149 yards rushing, and they're giving him a breather right now. And 2 touchdowns. This is swoop. And Alvin will take it close to the first down. In fact, he may have it on that last surge, but there is a marker down. That's going to go against West Virginia. Gives us an opportunity. Barrett Green defensively, 11 tackles, 6 solo. Edmonds with 7 to lead West Virginia, and for Syracuse, Poles with 9. They're all solo tackles, and Bullock with 9 tackles. 5 of those are solo. Poles, as we mentioned at the beginning of the telecast tonight, last year West Virginia about to score up at the Carrier Dome and make it 17-0. He intercepted a pass, went over 90 yards for a touchdown. It opened the door for Syracuse, and they reversed what had been some bad fortunes and won the football game. Bulger gets it away and just a tad overthrown. Ivy had a step, but he couldn't just drop it in exactly where he wanted. As you look at George DeLeon, George, his background is in defense, but he was the offensive coordinator.
Offensive coordinator for a long time. Decided to go to the Chargers as the offensive line coach. Opening became available back at Syracuse, and he took over the defensive coordinator job. Last time he was the defensive coordinator or coach was at Rutgers.
Here comes the blitz, going to have to hurry, throws it complete, ball is loose, and it's been, well, now they're going to say not complete.
And we just showed,
very fortunate.
Yeah, we just showed George DeLeon, and when you got 3rd and long and you blitz, sometimes you want the ball thrown quickly so that they don't get enough yardage for the first down, and that's what they forced Mark Bulger to do with that blitz to Antonio Brown.
Taylor's longest tonight, 48. 5th time that he will have kicked this evening. Good coverage kick. Spiral's going to turn over, and a very clear signal for the fair catch by Kevin Johnson. Made at the 20-yard line. So we'll take a break following that 39-yard kick. We're still tied at 28. ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by Honda Sports Utility Vehicles, the Spirited CR-V, and the powerful 205 horsepower Passport. Ogilvie Hall, home of the psychology department here in West Virginia. That building was built in 1918, and in fact, it's part of the National Registry of Historic Places.
Mike Tirico probably spent a lot of time in there when he was going to school.
The psychology department?
Yeah. Reading.
Of course, you know, but why would he have commuted? He went to Syracuse.
That's a good point.
You know, I guess he'll do anything. Frequent flyer.
Yeah, that's right.
McIntosh behind that big offensive line, and he'll take it forward for about 4 yards. You know, the thing about Kyle at only 5'8", when you look, that time he's running behind Bowen and Kiernan and O'Donnell, and all of those guys are at least 7-8 inches taller than he is. Look in the huddle. Look, McIntosh he just disappears among that offensive line.
Well, that's
but
why
that can
that's
be
what he
positive
likes.
also. That's right. He can hide, and all of a sudden, pow, he's gone by you.
nothing doing for Conrad. Thought they might sneak the big fullback through. And Thunder Thornton. Big John makes the tackle.
Now, he's had a pretty good ball game also. The defensive line of West Virginia, which given up a lot of yards the last 2 weeks. And when you talk to Steve Dunlap, he said we missed 26 tackles against Miami, but last week they held Virginia Tech to 110 yards rushing, so capable.
Here comes a big one right here. 3rd down and 7. Tied at 28 and about to go under 10 minutes to play. McNabb going long and just overthrown, looking for Darrell Daniel.
Not a good series there. A good series by the West Virginia defense. Both defenses tightening up, Ron. Steve Dunlap studied the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive scheme, put a lot of zone blitzes in here, West Virginia.
Antonio Brown looking at Doug Duncan. Brown signaled for the fair catch and made it at the 34.
The Syracuse opponent, the 34-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Mountaineers at that point.
College football fans, check out the ESPN game plan on pay-per-view. Get up to 10 extra games each week featuring the top conferences from all over the country. Now to order, just call DirecTV, PrimeStar, Dish Network, or your local cable company and ask for the ESPN game plan.
Ron, with Foreman out, David Saunders, the other wide receiver, 6'2", 205. The senior receiver has to be the go-to guy for Mark Bolger.
Back into the boundary, and that's going to be complete to Saunders, and I believe enough for the 1st down. Chris Fowler, let's check with you.
Well, Ron, finally, all precincts have reported in Corvallis. The last gasp for the Beavers here. Jonathan Smith down by a touchdown after the shocking Bruins score, but it's picked off by Larry Atkins. UCLA has struggled now with teams that are 1-12 combined in their conference last couple weeks.
41-34. 74 points, Mike. I thought we had a lot here with 56.
Well, that's a concern of UCLA. Their defense gives up a lot of points. You know, their offense scores a lot. And they've got an excellent quarterback in Cade McNown, but they give up a lot of points.
As you can see, they brought in the change. It's enough for the 1st down. Paul Pasqualone with a furrowed brow because this one is far from over. And right now it's 28 apiece.
They're in a fight right here. And again, with Foreman out, you see him on the sideline. Saunders, who made that last catch, becomes the guy that Mark Bolger has to look for. He's the most experienced receiver.
Zaraway is going to take it out across the 45 to the 48. And I would remind you that Amos on Saturday nights on ESPN has been extremely effective. In fact, the first time we saw him, we were still learning how to pronounce his name. It was against Pittsburgh 3 years ago. The first time he touched the ball, he was 69 yards from scrimmage for a touchdown. And we had an idea then that the man that had broken Jimmy Brown's high school record was going to be pretty good.
He's going to be special. 26 carries tonight. Danny Simmerol, the offensive coordinator, said we've got to get him the ball 25 to 30 times. He's right on the course.
They bring the blitz, and the pass is caught. Did he step out of bounds too quickly?
No.
Did not. Saunders right at the 1st down marker. Ian McIntosh was there to push him out of bounds.
And they're working away from 3 wide receivers to the field. Mark Bolger, a little fake to hold the linebackers. And David Saunders, the big play receiver now for West Virginia, makes another 1st down catch, maybe.
And in case you just joined us and you're familiar with these ball clubs, Sean Foreman with an injury to his forearm. And in fact, we had alluded to a couple of times in the ball game that he had bobbled or dropped the ball most un-Foreman-like. He has put his pads back on, but they have not allowed him to go back out on the field. He's wanting to come in the ball game.
No, and they miss him. And
yeah.
The coaches will tell you that Mark Bulger looks for Sean Foreman. Well, Sean Foreman's gone. So who to pick up the pace better than his other senior receiver, Saunders?
So here's the situation. 8:59 left in our ball game. 28-28 as you look into the eyes of Sean Foreman. And it's a first down for his teammates. Bulger going to have to hurry, and he will not get away from Greenwood. Second time that they have gotten to Bulger tonight.
Marlon Greenwood is a heck of a player, and all week coaches from West Virginia preached about that they thought he was one of the best players on the defensive side of the ball for Syracuse. Plays right over the tight end.
A dangerous hit right there because Greenwood had him low, and Simpkins came free. That was a tough double team tackle for him to take. Greenwood now with 7 tackles on the night. Option play to pitch to Zaraway. Amos gives you that little stop and stutter and then go again. And he'll take it to the 45 for Derek Corley. Makes the stop on him.
Ron, now the extra defensive backs come in for Syracuse. Last 2 first downs have been thrown to Saunders. See if they go back to the well again.
So there are the weapons. You see Bulger 205 yards passing, Zaraway 159, and Saunders 67 yards receiving. And Bulger wants a timeout. 7:31 left in the ball game. 2 timeouts left for West Virginia. We'll be right back. Well, we are back. As we mentioned, West Virginia still has 2 timeouts left. During the huddle on the sideline, I thought Foreman was trying to, he not only was in the huddle, I thought he was trying to sneak back out on the field beyond the coaches.
Well, he was voted captain his last year and this year, so he's well thought of by the other players. So he's just trying to be a part of this game now that he can't play.
Here comes the blitz. Bulger has to hurry, and he hurries it too much. Incomplete. Saunders is the guy he wanted at the 32.
Yeah, they tried to go to Saunders again, but the pressure from Syracuse didn't give Mark Bulger a chance to throw the football accurately. So now West Virginia's going to try to punt Syracuse in the hole.
It's interesting. Was that not Foreman coming on? And surely they wouldn't use him on a punt team, would they?
Yeah, he's on there. He got on the field.
High pass from center, and they had the return on. So West Virginia got fortunate, but it is a lousy kick. And Kevin Johnson is going to take it across the 30 to the 32. Jay Taylor, the last couple, has wanted to walk away from the head coach when he's come to the sideline because they have not been very good kicks.
Sean Foreman on the last play. Blocking as one of the protectors. Now releases downfield. It's probably the end of Sean Foreman's night there. As soon as they find out he was on that punt team.
Pitch back, McIntosh, nice move, and he winds up picking up 5 yards. It didn't appear to be there. Light cap defensively. Now that clock is going to go downhill very quickly.
Darrell Daniel made a nice block on Gary Tompkins on that option play, just long enough to get that ball by him. And as a wide receiver, you not only catch the football at Syracuse, you block on the option.
Second down, and quick out pass, and here's Johnson up the sideline. It'll be forced out by Chris Edmonds, but that is a deadly play because he catches it behind the line, which means you can block beyond the line of scrimmage.
And Darrell Daniel again with another block. And what you teach the wide receiver that's going to block on that play is to attack the outside hip of the corner that's covering you. Just raises up and throws the football. Kevin Johnson, there's the block by Darrell Daniel. And a first down. Kevin Johnson's just had an awesome night.
Yeah, he has. Quarterback draw. McNabb tries to get to the outside and then very wisely goes down because Stills was coming over the top. Scooter Davis had a hold of his ankle.
Did a nice job too, Scooter Davis, breaking down in football position, the juke by Donovan McNabb, but he was able to get a hold of the feet of the quarterback. This West Virginia defense, even though they've given up 28 points, has played very good football tonight.
They have. As I mentioned, that clock going to start to really go downhill. We're under 6 minutes now. McNabb going on top, and he's got his man. Inside the 20 is Kevin Johnson.
Well, I'll tell you what, you go back to the first, I guess it was the first part of the second quarter, and Donovan McNabb had 16 yards, and ever since then, Kevin Johnson has turned it on. He gets away from Scooter Davis, good move at the line of scrimmage, and the throw was right on the money.
I started to say he didn't have to break stride.
No.
He didn't have to speed up. He had to do nothing but just accept it.
11 catches. Wow.
Career high, 196 yards, first down inside the 20. Here comes the option, and McNabb faked the pitch, and he's going to be tackled at the line of scrimmage by Forbes.
And Ron, when you talk about Kevin Johnson, as far as the pro football scouts, he holds on extra points and field goals. He returns kicks. He's a former quarterback, so he can throw a pass, which he's done this year for Syracuse on several occasions. So he brings a lot with him in that uniform.
I'm sure that Paul Pasqualoni would not only like to get in the end zone here, but I'm sure if he had his druthers, he'd take some more time off this clock as well. About to go under 5 minutes left in our ball game. 28-28. Got his man. Touchdown, Darrell Daniel. No, they say he trapped it off the turf. Oh, my goodness.
He just ran by Scooter Davis. Now, Darrell Daniels had a pretty good night blocking, but on this play, he got behind Scooter Davis, and Donovan McNabb led him perfectly. Let's see what happens at the end of this play. Ball thrown well. Now it went right through his hands. Good call.
Great call.
Scooter Davis is glad that that's the way that worked out.
Third down, you can see that they are 4 of 12 at third down conversions tonight. McNabb overthrows him at the 10-yard line. Now, Nate Trout is coming on. He missed a short attempt just a few moments ago.
Ron, on that last play, Kevin Johnson wide open on the post play. Watch him on motion here. Breaks up the football field and post. He's as wide open as he was on that touchdown pass. Donovan McNabb just could not find him.
35-yard attempt. He missed from 32 just a moment ago. And he has missed another one. Unbelievable. Nate Trout was 7 of 9 coming into this ball game and has just been as reliable as can be for Syracuse in his career up there. Senior out of Merritt Island, Florida. But boy, he has just missed again, and we're still tied at 28. 4:46 left in our ball game. Long way to go yet.
What's the score? 0-0. Go! Woo! Woo! Go! Woo!
Well, there are many ways to have lonely feelings in a lifetime, and
For a young college football player, Nate Trout is very good at what he does, but he's missed a couple tonight that he normally doesn't miss. And so we're still tied. It is heavy on his mind right now as he just missed that attempt from 35. Here's Zeraway. Cuts it back up into the middle. Puts a head down. Ball is loose. Kicked by Syracuse. No possession by the Orangemen. It'll stay with West Virginia.
And the official got knocked down there. Everybody was going for that football. Again, Amos Zeraway shows you his upper body strength because he runs over Quentin Harris. And the ball comes out. Very close to being down, but they picked up a few extra yards. Ron, you go back to Trout. Nate Trout is could get another opportunity in this ball game, so I'm sure the coaches are talking to him. Stay in the ball game.
Well, we couldn't hear the announcement by the referee. He was explaining why the ball came back to the point of the fumble rather than where it was kicked and out of bounds, or where it was kicked, I should say. Zeraway cuts it back into the boundary. Going to have 10, now 12 yards in the play, and Corley comes back over his back to make the tackle, and Chris Fowler. Let's check with you.
Ron, other top 10 teams may have fallen victim to the look-ahead syndrome, but not Kansas State. They go to Waco and beat the Bears here. Michael Bishop threw for a couple of touchdowns. This one to Aaron Lockett. Also, Bishop ran for one. K-State heads the home game with Nebraska next.
Chris, also, we send our condolences. Jack Hartman, his family out in Manhattan, Kansas. Great coach at K-State. Also was at Southern Illinois, and I know Frazier played for him there. Anyway,
outstanding basketball coach.
An outstanding fellow too. Jack Hartman died yesterday. Pass out in the flat. Antonio Brown, and he's close to a first down, and Syracuse has a player down. Phil Nash, who came up to make the tackle, and Phil, well, he is now moving, but he had not a moment ago, and a second player is down in the secondary.
Keith Bullock.
Yeah, Keith Bullock, one of the linebackers. Now here's Nash and the injury to him. And then Bullock goes spinning over the top of the play.
Looked like he got kicked in the ankle.
So Paul Pasqualoni, as if he didn't already have enough on his mind, he's got two of his starters on defense still down in the field, and the opposition driving in a tie game. Well, let's do a little advanced planning here in case the Mountaineers get the ball close enough to attempt a field goal and cannot punch it in the end zone. What about Jay Taylor? Well, this year he is 6 of 8 coming into this ball game tonight, and his longest is 47 yards, and that came against Ohio State.
And Ron, both teams, West Virginia has 2 timeouts remaining. Syracuse has all 3 of their timeouts.
Now they're helping Phil Nash up now. Bullock has already gone to the sideline. The numbers on Bullock, 12 tackles for him tonight, and 7 of those are solo tackles. And that's all we heard the coaches talk about, both West Virginia and Syracuse, how they respect and like Bullock. Now, it would appear as though that Nash is injured more seriously.
Yeah, Matt Klaus, the linebacker, the middle linebacker, the junior, will come in for Keith Bullock.
And while we have a second, let's go back to Chris Fowler. Chris?
Well, Ron, Wyoming, a team that's quietly having a real nice season in their annual border war feud with Colorado State. Cowboys get a touchdown pass from Jay Stoner to Kobe Shuck, 24-6 in the mud at halftime. Back to Morgantown.
A lot of rain out west.
That's a former Kansas State assistant, Dana Dimmo, and doing a nice job out there at Wyoming.
Donovan McNabb waits on the sideline. You saw his reaction on the missed attempt just a moment ago by Nate Trout.
Well, the clock is big for both teams right now because if West Virginia marches down and kicks the field goal, Syracuse wants to use their timeouts and to give Donovan McNabb enough time to get back on the field with his offense.
And so as you look at the scoreboard, 3 timeouts left for Syracuse, 2 for West Virginia. Look at total yardage. 418 for the Mountaineers and 375 for Syracuse. Here's a look at Taylor. As we mentioned, 47 yards, his longest. It happened in the opening game right here in Morgantown against Ohio State. They go right up the middle. This is Anthony Green, and the big fullback will take it with a tough run to the 43. Quentin Harris and Poles combining to the tackle.
Now, Ron, what you should have if you're West Virginia is you should have David Saunders against Ian McIntosh. With Nash hurt now, you go to Ian McIntosh, bring him into the corner spot. Now David Saunders, who's your guy? I mean, he's the guy that's going to have to make the big catches here late in the football game for you to win.
Play action. He's got a man wide open at the 15, 10, 5, touchdown, David Saunders. And this crowd erupts in Morgantown.
Sometimes you score too fast, but Don Nalen will take this, but it's exactly what they did. They like the matchup of David Saunders versus Ian McIntosh coming in the ball game. They motion David Saunders. It's man-to-man coverage. They got a blitz coming on. Mark Bolger finds David Saunders back away from the grain, wide open. McIntosh trailing him, just got lost.
Taylor with the extra point, and with 3:04 to play, our new score. The Mountaineers 35 and the Orangemen of Syracuse 28. We'll be right back.
What's up, man? What's up, Tony? Javon, what's up, man?
Oliger has it teed at the 35. We're just talking during the timeout that that's Ian McIntosh on the sideline. I don't know whether he was looking for help or not.
It was tough. It was a tough play because they had a blitz on.
Perfect call for.
Yeah, it was a perfect call, and David Saunders went in motion and came back against the grain, and Ian McIntosh got picked off a little bit, was on the hip of David Saunders, but it was just a very well-run play for the defense that Syracuse was in.
Here's a high kick and short. The 13, Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson, and he's loose at the 50-yard line, cuts it back, and is going to be tackled at the 35. And what I started to say a moment ago is that we talked during the timeout, this game's a long way from being over. That is a 52-yard return.
Ron, Kevin Johnson just had a tremendous football game. Continues to put his team in a position to win this game. Let's take a look at the touchdown. Dan Simrell with the call. Mark Bolger, he knows, he sees David Saunders, one of the graduate assistants, pointing to him. See the reaction. A good call by Danny Simrell. Used to be the head coach at Toledo, an outstanding offensive coach.
McNabb under pressure, breaks the tackle of Thornton, and just throws it away. Thornton weighs 300 pounds, and we've talked about the strength of McNabb. And John had a hold of him. You see he's upset with himself because he thought he should have had a sack, but McNabb just was too strong and got away.
John Thornton, again, we talked about the strength of Donovan McNabb, the 350-pound bench presser, and he did the wise thing, and he got spun around. He threw the ball away.
2:44 left in our game.
Flipping it to 25. Inside the 20-yard line is Darrell Daniel, the senior out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Ron, that was too easy there. I mean, there's no pressure. Nobody in that zone for Darrell Daniels. He just sits down. You talk about no pressure, first of all. Now look at this throwing lane right there to Darrell Daniel. Too easy.
First down, Syracuse at the 19. 16 of 27, 281 yards for McNabb. As this running play is going to go for short yardage as Forbes defensively puts the stop on Conrad.
That play was called to keep West Virginia honest and to maybe slip the fullback through. Rob Conrad, everybody figures you're going to throw with 2:06 to go on the clock and you try to sneak the fullback through, but he just tripped. Steve Dunlap calling those defenses. Kevin Rogers on the other side making the offensive calls for Paul Pasqualoni.
On second down, McNabb drills it. Did he catch it in bounds? They say no, he was out of bounds. Daniel caught the ball, but he didn't get a foot in. And in fact, both officials running toward each other saw the same thing and confirmed incomplete. And they're exactly right.
Toe may have been out.
Yeah, foot came down on the line right there. So it's third down.
Size 8, he'd have been in.
4 of 13 on third down conversions. They have missed the last 3, but they're 4-down territory here.
Remember Daniel on the curl. They hit him just a couple plays ago.
Ford gonna be sacked. McNabb caught by Landoff.
Now Syracuse needs to take a timeout here before this fourth down play call.
Boy, the difficult thing here, and you talk about the things that you can't do. Easy to say you can't, but to take a sack right there, and McNabb just simply couldn't do anything about it.
He had no choice, Ron. They were on him so fast, Kevin Landolt.
So we'll take a break. 1:27 left in our game. It is decision time. West Virginia up by a touchdown. Well, this house is really going crazy right now. It is fourth down. Syracuse needs to take it to the 9-yard line, or for all intent and purposes, their night is over. Amos Arroway paces on the West Virginia sideline as his club is leading by 7. McNabb looks at a blitz, goes for the end zone. He had him open and he missed him. Kevin Johnson is who they wanted. Gary Tompkins with the cover, and rare indeed, he had a couple of steps, and Donovan missed it.
Just threw it a little bit too far. There's the release, getting held a little bit by Boo Sensabaugh, doubled by Gary Tompkins. And I would imagine in Blacksburg, Virginia tonight, Miami, Florida, that there's some excited football players, because it puts them in a position now.
Zaraway fights maybe for a yard.
Syracuse still has 2 timeouts.
.112 showing on the clock. And a timeout called by Syracuse. They still have 1 left. Coming up on Thursday, the biggest little quarterback in the ACC, Georgia Tech's Joe Hamilton, tries to light up the Southern skies. It's the Yellow Jackets in the hunt for the conference title, taking on Clemson. Our coverage begins 7:30 Eastern with Thursday game night, presented by Coors Light, right here on ESPN.
Joe Hamilton is an outstanding quarterback. He does a lot for George O'Leary and that offensive football team.
Look at Charles Fisher there and some of those other defensive players. Sensabaugh as well. And Tompkins. This defense has been much maligned the last couple of weeks, but they are kind of pounding their chest right now, and in 1 minute and 12 seconds they can do it even louder.
Well, I think Don Nalen got their attention in a meeting and talked about how he felt they needed to respond in this ball game, and they've given Don Nalen a great effort tonight, and a nice job by Don Nalen and his staff getting this ball club back.
Zeroué cuts it back into the middle. Has 5 and very close to 10 yards. They call a timeout to stop the clock, and they got him down at the 30. So it's going to be third, about 1.5 yards.
Ron, just to echo on Don Nalen, I can't believe you talk about sometimes getting a little spoiled. He has done a great job here, and took a little flack in the papers around here this week, which I can't understand and can't believe. Winningest coach here has taken him to many bowl games, championships, and this ball club, and he talked about this. He said the expectations, this ball club was high, but it was expectations somebody else put on them. But they knew they had trouble on defense.
And on top of all that, he's a very classy guy. Tonight's piece of players of the game from Syracuse. Kevin Johnson, career high, 11 catches, 196 yards. And from West Virginia, Amos Zeroué, 31 rushes, 189 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And as part of their continuing effort to further the development of amateur athletics, Visa proud to donate $1,000 on behalf of these athletes for their school's General Scholarship Fund.
Syracuse needs to stop here. They can't stop the clock anymore, but they can force West Virginia to punt the football.
Third down, West Virginia needs it just across the 32. Bulger gonna run it, and he'll have the first down. Out of bounds just beyond the 35-yard line.
Ron, when that play was called by Dan Simro, he told him, you do not throw that football. Now, he may have pumped it like he was going to throw that football, but that was a run all the way.
Yep. We mentioned back in the first quarter that Bulger, with a couple of sisters, the youngest of whom is in the 8th grade. But what we were told is they're both outstanding athletes and could wind up being college basketball players. So good athletes throughout the entire family.
And the father played at Notre Dame, as you said.
That's right.
And Mark Bulger's been impressive.
Now you see the numbers, 257 yards, 1 touchdown. He did throw the 1 interception. But the real poise under pressure as he goes down on 1 knee, and they'll only have to do that 1 more time.
It was interesting when I got in here on Thursday. I had lunch with Gail Catlin, the basketball coach, fine basketball coach here, and he said he thought West Virginia would win this football game.
Well, coming up after this game, residents in college game night. Chris Lee and Kirk with a full wrap of the day in college football. That's followed at 11:30 Eastern by Sports Center. The latest on the NBA lockout, a preview of tomorrow's NFL action, plus NHL scores and highlights. He goes down on 1 knee. And this one is history. West Virginia is going to come up with the upset of the Syracuse Orangemen tonight as we have 10 seconds and down to 9. Don Nalen and the Mountaineers of West Virginia, as the horn sounds, get the win over Syracuse tonight. With their final score, 35-28. Stay tuned for residents in college game night coming up next. And join us next Saturday for the SEC as Georgia takes on Auburn at 7:30 Eastern. For Mike Gottfried, Adrian Karsten, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Rod Franklin. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now let's join Chris Fowler with